walking. Keep on your toes and don't stop talking about freedom. So get going, lots to be learning, lots to be knowing about people. Gotta reach 'em, sit 'em right down, then you got
Twitter, under pressure from Democrats, deleted a tweet from the legendary actor James Woods, who had strayed outside the lines by criticizing Hunter Biden. And the DNC told, this before the last election, told Twitter to take it down, and so they did. James Woods joins us now by phone. James Woods, are you there?
Yes, I am, Tucker. So nice to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you. I vaguely remember when your tweet was pulled down. You, of course, remember it. Did you suspect at the time it was pulled down at the direct request of the Democratic National Committee?
I'm not surprised at all. I'm shocked the way any other American would be if he were a target of a presidential candidate and a major political party.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 14th year in broadcast excellence. Now, in our 15th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. I like to think of myself as a forgiving man. I can forgive most people for hatefulness, damage they've done to me or my family, business, fellow citizens. But that's with one kicker. They must confess their sin and make themselves accountable. There must be consequences in the absence of regret for sinning before God and his fellow subjects. That's why us Jews are directed to contact people they have wronged over the previous year on Yom Kippur. It's not just the right thing to do. It's a command from God. We're all sinners, but we can be redeemed. However, it takes two to tango. And if a sinner refuses to fess up and continues to attack, defame, intimidate, and defile me and my family, fellow citizens, I do not forgive and I do not forget. Nor does God expect me, at least in my belief, can this result in bad feelings, mental and physical attacks, even war? Sure. But none of us were put on earth to have a boot on our necks. Be it a person or a group of persons governing us. That's why mere teenagers helped and signed the Constitution of the United States to guide our and rule our government's behavior towards us. As the old Irish saying goes, may I love you and may you love me. If you do not love me, may God turn your heart. And if God cannot turn your heart, may he turn your left ankle so that we can forever recognize you by your limp. May God bless America and those who believe in its goodness and its intent to fix past sins. With new verve and guidance from God. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. My name is Dave Weinbaum. Honey, what are you waiting for? You may pass.
Standing in the corner.
She's a little late again. And she's standing in the corner. I'm not punishing you. I'm glad you admitted, and I forgive you. Well, welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I don't know if you agreed or disagreed with my little monologue there, but I thought it was important to say. I could go through all the details of what's wrong and blah, blah, blah. But there's got to be a reckoning somewhere. And as a country, we can't keep being treated like this by our present government. They've got to be held accountable, in my opinion. I'd like to know what yours is, of course. If you want to, you can call the show, 573-578-2700. We've got a great guest today, a bunch of them. We've got Rabbi Moshe Rothchild is going to lead us off early, about 8:10. And then we've got J.J. Bradshaw, who is the official opening act of the Dave Weinbaum Show, but he is wisely and most graciously turned that over to Rabbi Moshe temporarily because of Rabbi has to bake his bread for the Sabbath. As you know, there's a big time difference in Israel, and it's about 5 or 6 hours later. And after J.J. Bradshaw, we've got Chris Adamo, who's going to call us, who has a special situation going on with, General Mike Flynn, of all people. Isn't that cool? And then we have always a great guest, State Representative Bill Hardwick. Will be in, and he'll hang out for a while. He'll be in the studio. And here's the highlight here. Arizona audit expert Jeff Zink will be in. He has now joined Kari Lake's lawsuit against Arizona for election fraud. And that's going to be very interesting to see if this is going to go anywhere. You know, we all have our doubts based on what's happened in the past, but this is fresh. This is immediate proof that they have of election fraud based on machines suddenly being unable to do their jobs, and the lack of the person who's in charge of these elections in Maricopa County, who was and is now, according to the state of Arizona, the new governor of the state, Katie Hobbs, who, as Secretary of State, was in charge of the elections and would not step down. She would not recuse herself. How would you like to be in charge of an election that you are actually one of the candidates in, and then have half the machines that are used for voting not be ready to go, broken? People waiting 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm sure many of them left in disgust because all the ones with that were mailed in early or even late were counted.
Well, it's none of the machines. Now with this release from Elon Musk with all this background stuff with Twitter, they now have proof that Katie Hobbs' office was trying to squash any kind of bad comments or press from people on Twitter. They would just report them, and they would be instantly removed to make sure nothing was negative said about her before her campaign and all that for governor. So
right. So the rabbi, hopefully he's okay. You know, I keep talking to these people who have been vaccinated and jabbed and whatever, and there he is. I guess he's okay now. All right. Is he smiling? No. Okay. Let's give him a song. Hit a song, please. That'll get him to smile. There he goes.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, a non-profit prophet, challah bread baker, second most powerful in Israel, future rabbi to the Trump Third Temple, hotel, golf course, casino, and spa. Please welcome all the way from Efrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. So you still in Jerusalem or back at home?
Back home now.
They let you back? Good. I was wondering.
What's that?
They let you back, right?
They did. Yeah, I had the key, so.
You had the key. All right, good. The FBI makes a study on anti-Semitic hate crimes without bothering to get data from three of the largest Jewish living cities, Los Angeles, New York City, and Miami. In New York, actually, other people had measured this too. They are up 125% in anti-Semitic events from last year. What, are they trying to hide this?
Yeah, of course. Of course they're trying to hide it. You know, it doesn't make anyone look good. And so they're trying to downplay it, of course. We're talking about, nationwide, 125%, something like that increase. And, especially in the major Jewish areas like in New York and Brooklyn, it's become very unsafe there. And they don't want these. They don't want the numbers to get out. What the true numbers are.
Once again, why? Why don't they want the numbers to get out? Why do the thing? And people know it's way up. People understand that. I mean, why just outright deceive everybody? They're not going to get away with it.
Well, right. Well, I mean, there's a few reasons. Depends on who you are. Of course, from the perspective of the politicians, they want votes and they want their constituents to feel that they're responsible and that they're safe. And the same way that the Biden administration doesn't want the stock market to go down. They don't want any bad news. So from the perspective of the politicians, they don't want any bad news. And people that live in these areas, they don't want suddenly the Jewish community to move out. That's bad. Bad happened previously in the United States in certain areas, and then those neighborhoods, just the vacuum was filled by some very dubious elements, and some neighborhoods went under. And so it's the reality is that the Jewish community is a very successful community in the United States, and France did the same thing. They don't want Jews to feel unsafe because it's not good for the United States. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. I'll accept that explanation. Although they're kidding themselves by hiding this, I think. Iraqi supporter of peace with Israel, he faces execution. No Abraham Accords for Iraq?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
No, Iraq is not. I haven't heard them. So anyone who's communicating, that they want to have peace with Israel or anything like that in some of those countries like Iraq, Yemen, and so on and so forth, their lives are in danger. You can't do something like that in those countries. They're going to be they could be executed
Yeah.
for those opinions. But it looks like Saudi Arabia might be coming around, but
You think?
Iraq is not on the list.
Now Saudi Arabia has
I do.
has dissed the United States of America, and China is their big buddy now.
Yeah, I mean, this week Netanyahu interestingly was to renew his relationship with Saudi Arabia, which is interesting. Usually it's the other way around, but Biden was really Netanyahu was pushing Biden to warm up to the Saudi Arabians, and actually Netanyahu this week said that if we can create peace with Saudi Arabia, he thinks the ripple effect is that we'll have peace with the Palestinians. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what he said.
Well, here was Netanyahu last night on Hannity. Netanyahu, here's what he wants to do. Block Iran, spread the Abraham Accords. Block Iran, spread the Abraham Accords.
He's right. I mean, yeah, he's exactly right.
So this is what you as second most powerful. This is what you as second most powerful in Israel has advised him to do, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that is the absolute correct path. Yeah. And the problem, the biggest problem right now is Joe Biden. I mean, that's the real problem. I feel it's very. It's not a wholehearted support for the Abraham Accords. And so when Netanyahu gets back into office and everything is signed, sealed, and delivered in the coalition here, and he wants to start moving forward, I'm very curious to see how Biden's going to react to that, especially if it's Saudi Arabia next. I suspect he's going to be very lukewarm to it.
You know, I did my monologue on forgiveness, forgiving each other. But I also put and obviously I'm not a rabbi, I'm not trained as one, but I feel that there's a truth to that, and I think God wants us to forgive other people, and we want forgiveness from other people and from God for sinning, because we all do that. But I'm wondering to myself also that when somebody puts a boot to your throat and they won't admit to wrongness and they won't be held accountable or refuse to be held accountable, and they're not sorry, they just keep doing it, then it's time to fight back, isn't it?
Yeah, look, the Bible also speaks about justice, not simply forgiveness. Forgiveness, yes, is important, but at some point, justice has to prevail, and you don't want to forgive people until you're no longer alive to forgive anyone. But yeah. At some point, we have to have justice, coupled with forgiveness.
Well, here's an example. I've got good friends of mine, who some are on the show, that want to forget about the 2020 election, or even what's happening right now in Arizona. They want to forget about it because it may not be a popular thing to talk about. Fixing elections, it's old news. Why do it? We're going to just piss people off. Right. I think it's important. It's sort of like history. You don't want to use Hitler in any phrases either. However, that being said, you don't want to forget the history. Right. So what are your thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to use as an example unless you're, of course, Kanye West. But I agree. We have to learn from history, and if we just sort of like whitewash everything, it repeats itself. That phrase is not. It's not just tongue in cheek. It's a serious thing. If you don't learn from history, we tend to repeat it. And to me, I for the life of me, I can't figure out why the United States can't get the elections right. Here in Israel, no one claims fraud or anything. We have a very good system of how it's done. And to me, this whole idea of mailing in ballots and not having requirements for ID and et cetera is just begging for corruption. So if you don't look at the past and consider what happened, and figure out how to make it better, you're just going to keep repeating the same things, over and over and over.
I'm curious about one thing. When and why did animal sacrifice end?
Well, it ended, with during the destruction of the Second Temple. For Jews and Christians, we have a different view on this.
Yes.
For Christians, they will answer that Jesus was the final sacrifice,
right.
And then that was it. For Jews, our answer is a bit different, in that it ended with the destruction of the temple, and since there was no temple, we could no longer bring animal sacrifices.
So what was the year difference between that?
Disagreement on that one.
What was the year difference between that and Jesus being executed?
Jesus, the crucifixion is anywhere in the year maybe 32. They put it somewhere in the 30s.
Right.
Destruction of the temple is the year 70.
Okay, so
it's very close.
Close. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so
very close.
So it's a moot point because we're never really going to find out, isn't it?
Well, we're praying for the rebuilding of the third temple, and then.
Well, that's where you go. Well, I know why you're praying.
Yes.
You're going to be the chief rabbi.
That's right.
There you go. I've already anointed you that, and
right.
Not me, but God has, I'm sure. And so you're going to be the main rabbi there at the Trump Third Temple. Hotel, casino,
I hope so.
Golf course and spa. Of course, it's going to have to be a little golf course, I guess, because there's not much land for that there. So, all right, now.
Good. Well, maybe we could do a mini golf course.
All right. Well, I know you got to go, so tell us just a little bit more about Hanukkah.
Yeah.
When is it?
It starts Sunday night.
Yeah.
2,100 years ago, the Greeks defiled the temple, putting an idol in the temple in Jerusalem, and the small band of Jews fought back against them. They're called the Maccabees, which could mean hammer. We're not 100% sure, but they fought back, and they defeated the mighty Greek army. God handed over the many into the hands of the few, and they rededicated the temple, and they lit the candelabra there, called the menorah, which had enough to light one day, and it lasted 8 days. So to celebrate that great miracle, it's the victory of light over dark, over the believers against those of who would tell you that the world does not have one God. So we celebrate by lighting every single night for 8 nights our menorah, our candelabra, which I know you, Dave, have one.
Yes, I do. And yes, we light the lights.
Several.
Yes.
Exactly.
And one of them was given to me by who? You.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Well, did I steal it? Then
No,
I have to apologize for it.
No,
I'm going to make you wait till Yom Kippur before I apologize.
From the products to support what we're doing, so we appreciate it.
There you go.
So,
other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and contribute?
They can go to our website as posted there, IsraelAlliance.org, or they can go to Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you guys.
I found through my lifetime various ways to piss off women, but this one is a sure bet. After 5 wardrobe changes, 6 shoe improvements or disapprovements from your wife, who's out there just slaving away at trying to look good, and your wife says, "Finally, I'm ready." Ask her, "Are you going out like that?" And then the fight begins. Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah. Hi to Yonit and the kids. And I'm about to get help from my wife.
I'm going to try that one. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Let me know how that. Stop hitting me.
Right.
No, I said no, not the whip. No, you get rid of that thing. All right, it's enough. It's enough.
Everybody.
See you, buddy. Shabbat shalom. All right. Okay, he's still talking.
Okay.
What was wrong with the audio there?
I think he had bad connection where he was at.
Yeah, well, we're talking overseas. They have these bad connections all the time.
It's actually pretty amazing that we can be talking with him live in Israel over the computer. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is an international show.
So,
Yes.
what's on your topic list today?
What's on my topic
I need
list?
to make an intriguing post to share.
So why are you asking me this now? This is
I got
supposed
here
to be
late.
show prep.
I got here late.
Yeah, okay. Well, now I got to do show prep. No, the show prep was over.
How about just doing this?
Why don't you just figure out what the hell's going on in the world? How about Twitter? That's still a newish story. How about the fact that people are starting to diss Trump all of a sudden because they can, and because you got a lot of disloyal people in this country who forgot what the hell he did. He called this election. In fact, play clip 6 right now.
By the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No,
go ahead, Mister. I'm listening to you. You got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath, and his administration said, "I did my job, and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd
honorably."
like to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't
well,
do a good
here's
job. With you,
go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5 million, Joe.
That is simply
Why did he deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look.
And we're going to play it later, but he goes on to say, this voting by mailing and having drops and all that stuff, we know that it causes maybe 30 to 40% difference in results. He says if you have 1 or 2% difference, which is normal, even that can affect elections. This is intentional cheating. Is there any doubt in your minds that that's what's going on?
None for me.
None for me either. All right, let's do an actual. Let's really find out who does Joe Biden's speeches. All right, let's figure that out. I think it's very important that we know who writes his speeches, for goodness sakes. Here's how Biden reads this speech. So it's very interesting to see the dichotomy of the writer of the speech and Joe Biden giving the speech. Okay, so think of that and the speechwriter actually watching him deliver what he worked so hard to deliver. And shouldn't he be mad, the speechwriter? I don't know.
I would be, but
yeah,
it's not my job.
All right, let's do some commercials. We got great sponsors on this show, and I spend my money with all of them, and I'd like you to do that too. And if you want to sponsor the show, give me a call, 573-578-2700. This show is catching on all over the world like it did with 2 previous radio stations. Hit it.
Honey, what are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
All right, we're back on air. We've got, believe it or not, I got contacted by someone in Donald Trump's office, and he wants to comment on, he wants to comment on Joe's speech. Hit it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Well, it didn't exactly sound like Donald Trump. I've heard him differently. He must have had a cold or something. I don't know. Even living in Mar-a-Lago, you can get a cold, I guess. It's called air conditioning, right? Michelle Obama demanded Trump be de-Twitterfied. She actually called them while he's in office, still in office, and said, "Get that guy off of Twitter." We got to get a tape of that phone call somewhere. I don't know where we'll get it, but we need to get a tape of that phone call. They have released a lot of things lately. John F. Kennedy papers, and the papers of his assassination and what led up to it and all that. It's really kind of shaky. They can't even read half of the papers. 14,000 documents, but half of them are like, a whole page full of maybe one sentence, maybe no sentences, a lot of blocked off things you can't even read anymore. It's faded.
Yeah, they did a lot of redactions, didn't they, where they kept names out.
So, no, this was supposed to be a complete release of it, and I'm not sure we know that much more other than the fact that, what was his name?
Oswald?
Yeah, Oswald was, he was a communist. He lived in Helsinki, had $700, and somehow got to Moscow, on that. And, he stayed at big hotels and all that, so he must have been connected. And they think Russia trained him to kill Trump. But then again, you had a lot of proof saying that there were other shooters. Now, who could they be? And the CIA was awfully tepid about, at least the reporting of the CIA was awfully tepid. So they might have been in cahoots with the whole thing. Cahoots with Russia? Is that a Russian hoax? Or can you imagine that? These days, I think I could.
I have no doubt that I think Oswald was involved, but he definitely wasn't alone. And either the government was involved or they were involved in the cover-up.
Well, yeah, here's the cover-up part. They sent a psychiatrist, a CIA psychiatrist, to talk to the guy that shot Oswald. He was allegedly a mafia guy in New Orleans, and both of them were delusional. So how does a CIA guy... how much credibility can you give a CIA-appointed psychiatrist to give a diagnosis of both Oswald and his killer as being crazy?
And there's plenty of people on the inside of the government that have talked about how the protocol after he was shot en route to the hospital, like they didn't follow proper protocol that they always follow.
Yeah.
The government didn't.
Yeah, it's very.
And it would suggest that they were involved in either the cover-up or involved in the actual assassination. That's what it.
So the swamp just doesn't go back to what's happening right now. Probably it goes back to Hoover. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I think he died in 70s, didn't he? 72 or something like that.
I don't remember the year they died. I just know that. I remember talking about Herbert Hoover had so much dirt on every politician. He used that as leverage for his agenda with what he was doing with the FBI and all that.
Sounds like that is still going on. It's still going on. They think they own. I mean, they actually have more power than the vote. Think of that. They have power to sway the votes. I mean, it's outrageous. And then you get the wife, the first lady of Barack Obama, still while he's in office, and she demands Twitter drop Trump, and so they did, and that's while Trump was still president. I think they got him on January the 8th. He was out of office January the 20th. What an outrage. And not an outrage is a young man looking at me right now, and I think we ought to play a song.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got
mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is 254 years old. He has so much knowledge, so much experience, that usually he wears a tinfoil hat over his head just to make sure none of it escapes. He is a smart man. He knows his Constitution, especially his Second Amendment rights. He's an expert on that, but he's an expert on all things. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the smartest man in Rolla, Missouri, and elsewhere, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Hiya, JJ.
Good morning, Dave.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
Overall, for being my age, I'm still vertical, so life is good.
Well, we're both on the same card there. And so what's under that tinfoil hat of yours today?
Well, I'd like to speak to the outrage that our Congress has become. They passed a little bill, just passed in the Senate, called the NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act, ostensibly to fund our military. This little pearl is $858 billion. That's 858 with 9 zeros behind it. And if it was only to authorize our military, I wouldn't be speaking to it. It sounds innocent enough on its face. I want to tell you about how Nancy Pelosi manages her House of Representatives. This bill is more than 4,000 pages. 4,000 pages.
Yeah. And it was read by everybody at least twice, right?
No. I speed read, and it would take me 3 or 4 days to read 4,000 pages. And this thing was given to the members of the House and released publicly 4 days before vote. Now, you tell me, how is it possible for any member of Congress, some of whom barely have a fifth grade education, to read this thing and make any sense out of it in the days allotted for it? Pelosi has done this again and again and again and again with omnibus spending bills, with any kind of bills she wants to cram through. The only jewel in this thing that I have seen was it does repeal the vaccination mandate for the military.
But there's a but to that, isn't there?
Of course there is.
Please.
Whether Biden signs this into law or not, who knows? But the trouble with that part is that vaccination mandate, we have discharged more than 8,000 soldiers, sailors, Marines who had refused for religious reasons or any reason to take the jab. And this thing does nothing to ameliorate the problem that they have. You kick these folks out on a vax mandate. Now you're going to repeal the vax mandate, but you offer no mechanism for allowing them back in the military. Now, I got to tell you, if I was one of those folks and got kicked out of the military, it'd be a cold day in hell before I'd go back to the military. They could just kiss my tuchus. But this thing, and there was an amendment, I think, offered by Cruz to remedy that problem. Of course, it got kicked out. So we have $858 billion that is tied up in woke stuff for the military, as well as authorizing some pretty good stuff. I read the executive summary of this thing. I'm not going to read 4,000 pages of legislative gobbledygook just to try to find a few pearls in it. But it saddens me that Pelosi and her ilk do this again and again and again. They shove through a so-called have-to-pass bill. Let's look at the budget bill as well. They cram this thing through, absolutely loaded with pork, loaded, paying off our buddies, and argue that the government's going to shut down if we don't pass this.
Well,
Dave, I just assume the government shut down. They actually do a lot less damage when they're shut down.
Where are our heroes, the Republicans?
Oh, the Republicans are limp-wristed degenerates when it comes to this.
I think they voted. Most of them voted for this in the Senate.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, wasn't even close. I think you had 11 people totally vote against it.
I don't know what carrot was dangled in front of them or what kind of payoffs occurred. But let's look at this thing realistically. We're better off with the federal government shut down than we are business as usual, because business as usual is absolutely corrupt. That's all. That's the only rant I've got about that today.
Well, you got 13 days until they take over or so. About 13 days until the Republicans take over the House.
Do you actually expect changes?
Well, I expected them to try to stall it until they got in.
Well,
and
that's what I would have
this
done.
This is going to pass, and it's going to run through the whole year now of more Democrat rule.
That's absolutely right.
Even though the Republicans are going to be in office on January 3rd of the year, that 2023, and so
such is the nature of
and they go
politics.
right along and lay down for this.
They have.
Go ahead, Jesse.
If you remember, I brought this up a few weeks ago, saying that the date was by design. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. That way they get everything passed through and have until September 30th that everything has to stay.
They've been talking about this for since the election, since the Republicans.
We are stuck with another year.
Of Democrat rule without actual Democrat rule.
Even though Republicans have a majority in the House.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
You think these folks aren't corrupt, Dave?
Oh, hello. Yes, I've been around for a while. That's why I have a show. Okay, if they weren't corrupt, I'd be out playing golf every day. Okay, they're so corrupt and so dangerous to us. Look at this. I mean, we have no southern border anymore. We have no country anymore. Once these 5 million or so plus illegal aliens are going to start voting Democrat, because they're going to be trained in voting Democrat. Okay, they're all ready to go. How are we going to overcome that? I don't think we're going to have elections anymore. We're certainly going to find out later about the Arizona election that just happened, because there's current lawsuits to it. But we'll see. It's not likely to happen or be reversed. But you know what? At least somebody's fighting back.
Well, yes. That is a beautiful segue to the next thing I was going to talk about, and that's the Kari Lake lawsuit.
There you go.
I'm very much interested in hearing what Jeff Zink has to say about that later in your show. But the Kari Lake lawsuit,
maybe you know what I said to him. I says, "Can you get her on too?" He didn't answer me, but hey, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
I'd love to hear what she has to say. That lawsuit is different than any other that has occurred in Arizona, because this one has a bunch of whistleblowers lined up who are prepared to testify under oath about the shenanigans that went on in Maricopa County.
Yes.
The judge has given her 2 days to present at least preliminary evidence on this thing. This is way further than any lawsuit has gotten in Arizona so far, and has the potential of being equivalent to the audit scandal.
Yeah. Well, it's got immediate proof is what it does. You had 50% of the machines that Katie Hobbs, the then Secretary of State, was in charge of. She was in charge of her own election, which in that case is really, really awful that she did not accuse herself, because now she's in control of the thing. And how do 50% of these machines go dead on the day they were supposed to vote in person? Okay,
Yeah.
we know where all the other ballots out there were most of them were non-Republican, but the Republicans were supposed to vote that day. Now, we know they're going to have to change, the Republicans, but still, that's unforgivable. That's either a re-election or you just give it to her.
Well, she's working on getting that election thrown out and perhaps a fresh election done. That's an uphill battle.
It
but
sure
at least
is.
She has the potential to get witnesses in front of a judge who may or may not agree. This is further than anybody's gotten so far, and my hat's off to her for pursuing the thing. I really want to hear what Jeff Zink has to say about it. His opinion matters to me.
Well, he stalled me for a couple of weeks because I said, "You got anything new on the election?" And he says, "No, I'm working on it. As soon as I know, I'll come on." So he's supposed to have a pretty big political dump right here on this show.
Good.
Is that a way to put it? That's not a good way to put it, is it? Dump? Yeah. So if you want to see a really big dump on this show, stay with it the whole way because he's on the last of this show. So
I'll be listening.
All right, my friend.
Last
What else
thing
you
I
got?
got for you, Dave,
Yes.
is the media is making a big deal out of the expiration of Title 42.
Yeah.
What Title 42 is intended to prevent contagious diseases on an emergency basis from entering this country. Trump used that to turn people away at the border, and he used it somewhat effectively. That thing's going to expire December the 21st.
Yep.
Now, what the media doesn't tell you is this. They're making the big headlines out of it to divert you from what the fact is. If we actually enforced our laws at the border, our immigration laws who have been in the books for decades, if we enforce those, Title 42 would be moot. We wouldn't be allowing anybody in the country anyway unless they went through the paperwork trail to be allowed in this country legally. So the media and our federal government would like to hoodwink you into believing that Title 42 expiring is a big deal. We're going to have about 98,000 illegals coming across the border per week when this expires. But if we actually enforced our immigration laws, we'd have maybe 10 crossing the border. The rest would be kicked back out. Again, this is a case of your federal government trying to distract you from what the real problem is by giving you a bunch of flack about Title 42.
Well, how do we? Your point's well taken, but Trump had the thing pretty well under control.
It was marginally under control, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really under control, more so than it had been in decades.
Yes,
I believe, and he was on his way to even doing better. And he got Mexico on board. Now Mexico is just feeding the cartels. And the cartels are making a fortune. And say a half, a quarter, I don't know how much is going to the DNC, but how much would you like to bet that that's happening? Or against it? How would you like to bet that it's not happening?
Oh, I think it's likely happening.
Sure.
Arizona has been putting shipping containers, stacking them up along the border near Yuma to try to plug this bleeding wound. And, of course, the federal government has been all over them about doing that.
Sure.
The latest thing that just tickled me, they sicked the EPA on the state of Arizona, saying that putting all those shipping containers to provide a barrier against illegals coming across at Yuma, which is one of the worst crossings that there is. They're flooding through there. The EPA is saying, well, there's drainage problems here. There's all these environmental problems, and you folks need to cease and desist.
Right.
The current governor of Arizona said, go pound sand. We're going to do what we have to do because you folks aren't willing to enforce the law. This is just another example of the Biden administration sicking the EPA. I mean, come on, a federal bureaucracy agency against a state for trying to protect that state's borders when the federal government refuses to protect them.
Yeah.
What does the state have to do? what choices do they have? Sit by and do nothing, watch the flood of illegals and fentanyl coming across their border? No, they're not going to do that. They have their own citizens that they're responsible to. So my hat's off to Arizona, at least in the area of Yuma, for trying to plug this leak. And poo on the federal government, a pox on them for even considering sicking the EPA on them. That's just, they're grasping at straws. And,
what's happening at our southern border outweighs just about everything we're talking about, because it is a real show that America no longer will exist as we know it, and is being transformed by illegal aliens, many of them who are unvetted, all of them who are not checked for any diseases, including the COVID. You've got little children being sent in to be marketed, and not just for sex, but for their body parts. You've got fentanyl that's killing 100,000 people a year already in this country. They found just 1 or 2 packages the other day that had 14 million pills in them.
Yep.
14 million. I mean, this is a huge invasion, a huge war-like invasion in this country, and it's being led by our own leaders.
That's absolutely right, Dave.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that this thing is not being given enough attention. We should be at war right now. We
should be up in arms over this.
Up in arms, absolutely,
for allowing this to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, how do you measure this? I mean, this is not being nice to anybody. This is not giving, Jose, who has been beaten or whatever illegally in places like Ecuador. This is not it. You've got gangs coming in. You've got people from 48 countries coming in. They're not even from the area. They're coming in via Mexico. Okay, and they're finding this out. I mean, and a lot of them, many terrorists. That's right. Government. So this, I'm just making a point here. My wife asked me, what are your 3 points? Of course, she asked it late because she's here late. And she's grumpy this morning because I made a bad joke. But still, I said to her, I said, that's a big deal. And I think she understands that. You know, I do have a smart wife, pretty wife, and all that. But, all right, don't hit me. Do not. Oh, okay.
Frankly, Dave, if I was married to you, I'd be grumpy as well. So kudos to you.
Yeah, well, I'd make you shave that mustache.
Oh, no.
All right, enough of that. Enough of that.
No.
No.
Enough of that. Anything else?
Not going there, Dave.
No. I think we're done.
We are done.
Yeah, we are done.
Enjoyed our Friday morning conversation.
Yes, I did too.
I will be listening.
Yeah, hi to your lovely bride, okay? All right.
Bye-bye.
Let's hear it for J.J. Bradshaw. Thank you, J.J. Have a good weekend. I didn't like the direction that thing was going, did you?
You started it.
Just don't.
It was your direction.
Don't be rotating my tires, all right? Don't you be rotating my tires. I'm tired of that already.
Not even a good joke.
You know? What? Ooh.
Not even a good joke.
That tickles. Stop it. No. All right, let's do basketball. I lost my nuts.
I just
Damn. We gotta go straight to the basketball now. I think my nuts just dropped off. Whoa. Man, that hurt. Honey, I got to give it to you. You're an inspiration.
I'm so glad you're.
I'm
so glad you're amused.
Get rid of that. It's bad enough with my nuts dropping into the can. That's
all right.
It's lug nuts.
Clean it up.
Stop
over
it.
there.
It's lug nuts.
Clean it
No,
up.
if you're thinking dirty, it's not my fault because it's a car nuts that are falling. Okay.
Lug nuts. Yep.
Lug nuts. Look it up. Okay. Safe again. All right, let's read some things on the board there. And Patricia Odin Maxwell, the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show, sounding great, looking great. Go team. Hi, Rabbi Moshe. That's where I met Rabbi Moshe. How do you meet a? How does one Jew meet a rabbi in a church? And we are Jews. Okay, you can tell that. I mean, we're not Jews for Jesus. We're just Jewish people, like Jesus was. Anyways, John Jeffrey. Well, I appreciate Pastor Pat. She's also the official pastor to J.P. Maxwell. I didn't invite. Did I introduce you guys? Did I forget to do that
at the beginning of the show? I don't remember.
Neither do I. So let me introduce you to my lovely bride, who was late. Always throws the show off when she's late. Lisa Ann Weinbaum.
Thank you. I'm glad to make such an important contribution to your show.
Well, you are known as the law, the late law, but you're the law. And
everybody has an off day or two.
Or what about last week? The same thing happened.
I said or two.
Or two, okay. And our producer, J.P. Maxwell. Yeah, hi, J.P.
I'm just trying to keep it all just...
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, in here.
and our Iron Man producer, Rick Henderson, is at home right now. And the guys, I call him Iron Man because now he has an iron hip, I think. Oh. And I know he's in a lot of pain, but he's still got the clips done the last 2 weeks.
Woohoo,
Go Rick is right.
Healing.
Hi to Bev.
Happy healing.
Yeah, happy healing. Bev seems to be taking good care of him.
Good.
So anyway, let's see. Where am I? Okay. We've got Chris coming up next. And what? What are you pointing at?
You were reading the board.
Oh, am I done? Well, I don't know. He's not throwing anything up there.
I don't know if he started.
Okay. John Jeffrey Bradshaw. I always love to hear what Rabbi Moshe has to say. And Shannon Reed. Good morning. Good morning, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
She's a nice gal.
Mr. Pat.
And Shannon Reed loves Lisa's reaction. Oh my God!
That was earlier during
She's
the
got
original
a fan.
joke.
There's another fan, Joseph Dalton, Joe Dalton, and he gave me. You see these little caricatures up here?
It's just one of them's asleep. I don't want to disturb him here. He's
who's the other one? Anyways, is that Joe?
Laying down on the job.
Is he laying down on the
it's
job?
This guy that goes by the quote, "I did that,"
but we can't see him because the.
He was sleeping.
Yeah, but I know we can't see him though because the camera isn't showing him. Well, I know that, but we don't see him sleeping. And whose feet is he sleeping at?
Oh, he's sleeping at the feet of Donald Trump right now.
Yeah, well, you can't even see the real president, Donald Trump. There he is. There's Donald Trump. He's still up there. All right. Donald Trump.
Or as Chris Wallace would call him, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah, Donald Trump came out with a new announcement yesterday, and he says, are we done with this? Okay. Now I got to check. You can throw in, okay, that's the last one, Dave.
Okay, that's the last one, Dave.
Yeah, it's a little late for that. But he's talking about major laws of how people can go into government and not be let to work at social media or even as in the mainstream media. How you leave one, and that's for both conservatives and for liberals. How do you get a social company that's going to block all the conservatives and hardly any liberals, hardly any people calling for, let's say the death of Israel, the Ayatollahs and things like that, and then you're going to block Donald Trump, the president of the United States, who nobody ever said he cheated in a logical way. Nobody. Because we know the hoax was in, and we know that after, $47 million were spent on the original impeachment, that there was nothing there. And there's still nothing there. 7 years later, well, I'm sure somewhere down the road, he's going to get an indictment after 7 years. After 1 year, you should be able to indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury that's favorable to your cause and hates also politically dominated by people.
It'd be kind of like being in a football game that's fixed and you still lose.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yep.
And you know it's going to come, and you know you're going to be down 14 points at the beginning of the game before the whistle's blown. You know, that's what we're in right now. We're not in any competition. We can't trust the people that count the votes. Can't trust the people that send out the ballots. You can't trust the people who have died, a century ago, but are still voting. You just can't trust them. You know, I think JP had to go out. I don't know. I'm still here though. What?
JP left the room.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, you're awake enough for that, aren't you? Just me and you, honey. What shall we do?
Isn't that special?
Yeah, I know. You look very nice today.
Oh, thank you.
After the sixth
Is it
change.
okay if I walked out? Yeah, well.
Are you going to walk out too?
There were 4 shirt changes this morning.
Are you going to walk out too?
Right now?
Yeah, I'll be all alone doing
this. Do you
this.
dare me?
No, I don't dare you. You can walk out if you like, but I'd be very suspicious of this.
No, I'm kind of busy right now.
You're kind of busy?
Yeah.
JP, I thought you were just jumping ship there for a minute. I was trying to figure out what the hell I said to you.
No.
Yeah? Okay.
He's got a kid sick at home, school calling, asking where
okay.
he's at. We've been dealing with sick kids the last week, so.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Like pretty much a head, I don't think it's a flu. I think it's more like head cold stuff.
Yeah.
Even my wife and I dealt with it yesterday was the first day I felt normal again since
there's a
last
lot
weekend.
of it going around,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff going around.
On the news there that strep seems to be overrunning us.
Yeah, luckily he doesn't have that, but he's had a major cold.
Wow. So, talking about diseases and things like that, 2 journalists die suddenly while reporting at the Cup, the World Cup. And, one of them was in good shape, her wife said, probably in his 40s, I'm guessing.
That one guy was in his late 30s, the one that had the brain aneurysm. Yeah, Wheeling, yeah.
Gee, well, I wonder what that could have been really from. The guy was in good shape, worked out,
My first question is, was he vaccinated?
I think he was. You could probably bet he was.
I didn't realize there were 2. I saw the first one that was young and looked very healthy. And
he was working for CBS.
Yeah.
The bald guy?
No, it just he's
another
soccer reporter.
Yeah,
was
another
the younger
one.
Guy.
Well, I mean, what are the odds of that happening?
Pretty.
Okay, and happening in natural causes. That thing is trending live right now on Twitter. The died suddenly.
Died suddenly.
If
you have not had time to watch
My
it,
God.
The clots that are pulling out of these, and this is actual people that have died. They've got vials of this stuff. They were showing the clots they were pulling out. We're talking about clots, like this wide, that when they were trying to prepare them for burial and their funeral services, the clots were so big they usually drain the blood out and then start putting everything in that they use to preserve the body. They couldn't even get it in because the clots, they had to go in and physically remove the clots to get them prepared. They said they never seen that till the vaccine started.
And we've been saying this for close to a year and a half or so, because I kept reading the VAERS report, and then I keep seeing people around me. Best friend died from all of a sudden, and I never had heart problems, and all of a sudden he's got this heart condition. And when I started finding out about these other people that were, 2 of my daughter-in-law's uncles die almost at the same time, and then the brother of my wife's husband's wife, he dies. He's 59 years old. He was in decent shape, and he's gone. We know he had it, and all these other people like that. Just incredible. What the amount of coincidence that is. And when you put it out on Twitter these days, you find out so many connections. It's incredible. There's no way this isn't happening. There's no way it's not being done, and there's no way these doctors have changed. So they change more than I have my tires rotated. No, don't do this again. All right, and they change every other day. It's like first Mark Siegel says, you take one shot, and you'll never have to take another one. Dr. Fauci came on and said, you don't need a mask. Nobody needs a mask at first. And then that went to 3 masks. And this guy's got problems. He's going to go up against Congress. You're going to have to watch him, how he's going to try to weasel his way out of this. Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as what I know that he's now admitted to, which is the Wuhan thing that, at first he totally covered up, but still claims he's innocent of anything. But we know that this government funded the change of, what is it?
It was a study about, I'm trying to remember.
Change of function.
Yeah.
Change of function.
Yeah.
In these animals.
Yep.
And adapted this disease to make it adaptable to humans and to be tough to get rid of.
I remember when they first started coming out with all the COVID protocols claiming they were following medical science, and my wife, who is a 20-year nurse,
right,
was sitting there saying, that's not the science. That's not what it tells you to do.
Right.
The medical science says you fight off the disease with your body to get immunity if you can possibly at all, because that's the most effective way to fight it.
Yeah.
You only do the vaccines or medicine if you have to.
And the other stuff is, the vaccines were vetted over 10 years, right. Tested on animals, not tested on people, but at least proven to work on animals. Well, guess who the animals were that they're testing this stuff on? Us. So even the guy who invented these things says, don't give this to children. And I'm pretty sure he's probably convinced now that giving it to adults probably isn't so good either. I tell you what, we had it. We didn't take the shots. Doctor said, take the shots. And I said, there's no, I says, why? We've had it. We should have antibodies. He says, well, I don't know about that. Well, why wouldn't he know about that? Why hasn't that been tested? And why didn't he know about the VAERS report? It's a CDC document, and what he says is the only thing he reads. And he's not the only doctor I've talked to who doesn't know this about the VAERS report.
He did acknowledge antibodies and natural immunity, but
he didn't know
he only acknowledged it for up to 90 days.
Yeah, but he doesn't know. There was no studies on it at the time. So he's guessing.
Again, I'm unvaxxed.
Yeah.
Went to my doctor in May, had antibody testing done with my other lab work. My doctor flat out said, you have 1,000 more antibodies than somebody vaccinated would have.
Do you know how valuable your blood is?
Yeah.
You should be selling it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I got apparently gold or something. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
But she actually told me, she goes, you can't get the vaccine. I would have to actually advise you not to, because if you get it, you will get sick.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Yeah. So why are all these people now who have taken the vaccine, why are they all of a sudden getting sick? Why are they dying?
Well, and then what about us? What if we ever need a transfusion? Is there going to be? It's not acknowledged whether the vaccination has been taken or not when they draw the blood, and so you could end up with that. You could
get contaminated blood by that.
Exactly. Well, it'll be interesting because liberals will want to get somebody who's vaccinated to give their blood to them, right. And we don't want anybody who's been vaccinated to give our blood to them. I'll tell you what you probably ought to do is you ought to take your own blood and try to save some of it. Who wants to do that though? Yeah, let me go take some more blood out of me, and let's store it.
I did ask about that. You can do that in Springfield, but of course you have to have advance notice. It can't be done.
You said a dance. I thought this was going to be like an Indian ritual.
Well, and I'd be nervous too that even if they claim it's your own blood, how do you really know that they haven't switched it? So,
well, look whose little face is on the air here. Oh my goodness, we got. He looks different. He can't hear. I know you can't hear yet. He's pointing at his ear. Can he hear?
We can't hear him either.
And we can't hear you either.
You've got something wrong on your end, Chris. We can't hear you either.
Why don't you call in? You know my number?
Can he hear us?
No.
I don't think so either.
All right. Well, he knows what to do. Just call me. Here, give me the phone. Golly, why do I have to do this?
Oh, my.
Call me.
Oh, my.
Okay. Call Chris.
Calling Chris Melrose?
No. Call Chris Adamo.
Calling Chris Adamo mobile.
Yeah. Answer your phone. Phone. There, show the picture again.
He went off again.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, sir.
Hi there. Nice try. We're gonna do this on the phone, okay? So hold on. Let me get it reconnected. Hold on. Yes, you were so beautiful on that. You couldn't make it work. I understand that. All right, let's play a song. This man is drenched in patriotism. He loves Wyoming, pizza, and politics. His cousin Guido has just been pardoned by Hunter Biden. Please welcome, who knows where the hell he is. He is the only Italian to get witness protection program in Wyoming. Please welcome Chris Adamo. Okay, I know I probably said a lot of different inaccuracies about you, but let's show his book because he's going to call somebody and say, did they show my book? Did they show my book? There, we're showing your book, okay?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No, we appreciate you. And you have there's a friend that maybe you didn't know you had, General Mike Flynn. What's up with that?
Okay, well, I had some time back, I had a friend of a friend get a copy of my book to him. Now, make sure you show my book. I can't see it right now, but
we just showed it.
Well, it's time to show it.
Double the price.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I had a friend get a copy to him, and he was in the midst of writing his own book, which is called A Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare.
Yeah,
and he's talking. His perspective on it is the whole global strategy of the leftist globalists as they implement their propaganda war to show everybody their version of the world and all of that, and really liked what he saw in my book. So he contacted me, and asked if he could use information from my book to bolster his. Now, to use a military analogy to this, and this is not perfectly done, but he's talking about an overall global strategy.
Right.
And I'm kind of talking about what the stuff I discuss is trench warfare tactics when you're the troops out in the field. How do you actually engage the enemy, in hand-to-hand combat, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so the two complement each other really well. So his book just came out this week. It's at Barnes & Noble. I believe it's also at Amazon. Doing really well. And his is called A Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare.
So how many times are you in it, and what does he give you credit for?
Well, he cites my as an appendix at the end of the book. He cites my 10 rules for defeating radicals. He cites the specific rules, and now I haven't seen the hard copy yet because we're actually, as you know, we're not at home right now. I'm sitting up on a mountaintop in Tennessee, and you can sing about that if you want, but. We're
ivermectin. I take it by the pill. Is that not appropriate for Tennessee? I'm sorry.
He had the entire appendix last I saw the book. The entire appendix was referencing mine as as supportive material, and I think I even got to do an inside flap endorsement. And again, I haven't seen a hard copy of the book yet, so I'm not sure all of what made it.
Have you ordered it? Have you ordered the book?
Actually, he's sending me a signed copy, and I mean that is going to be
Really, you get the signed copy. All right, you didn't even sign your copy to me.
He's. I tell you what, everybody knows who he is. Of course, you've heard the media version of who Mike Flynn is. He is an absolute hero and patriot. He is just a top-notch individual. Just, and there's something about when you're talking to a 3-star general. Now, mind you, I was a staff sergeant in the Air Force, so I'm talking to a 3-star general. I'm trying to keep from saluting the telephone, But the thing is, there is such a precision and an integrity with how people like him who've reached that level, how they do things. That he's a real general, unlike Mark Milley, who's the political hack at the Joint Chiefs there. General Michael Flynn is just a top-notch individual and a patriot and a hero.
Does he say why the FBI went? Well, you're going to have to tell me when you read the book, because I've tried to get him on the show and I never succeeded. But apparently, you have penetrated his armor with your book.
I can sure pass along a good word for you. Just
why
don't
don't
tell me
you?
Bad jokes. Just make me a promise there.
Say what?
Don't tell any of your bad jokes.
I can't help myself. I just cannot help myself, and they're not all bad. Some of them are bad, but that's part of comedy.
There's been a few good ones along the way. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that. Anyway, I'll make a mention to him.
Okay,
but the whole thing that they saw in him, the reason they had to get rid of him right off the bat was because they wanted to infiltrate the Trump White House. They wanted to have their moles all over the place.
Yeah.
And he was onto them, and he would have put a stop to them. And so they come up with some ridiculous little excuse that they had. And, things, I mean, it's like we've watched the left commit, looting, arson, and rape. And yet somebody on our side has a parking ticket, and that's going to become a federal case.
Then what they do, and what they did to him was they threatened his kid. Same thing with my two guests down, Jeff Zink. They threatened his kid.
Oh yeah, nothing
and so and they tried to buy him off. Okay, now the people who tried to buy him off didn't identify themselves, but you got to suspect they were connected to the government some way, somehow, and
no suspect to it. You're absolutely right that's what they did, and we need to just call them out. We can't wait until we have an airtight case against these people while they rampage.
What do you think? Let me ask you a question.
During the Clinton years, same thing happens to her. She's starting to blow the whistle on what Clinton's doing. She's out jogging one day, and a stranger comes up to her. Now, the stranger obviously knew who she was and intercepted her while she was jogging. So these people are spying on her. Comes up to her and says, "Hey, have you noticed your cat is missing?" Okay, so they stole her cat. Who knows? They probably killed her cat, and then calls out her children by name. Okay, and this is just out of the clear blue. Well, what's going on here? We all know exactly what's going on here. This is how the Clintons operate. And this is how the leftists operate. And what they're doing is they're threatening her. If you keep talking about this, we're coming after your kids. Look what happened to Elon Musk this week. Those CNN, MSNBC reporters, I forget, Washington Post, whatever they were, they're leftists, whoever they are, and they start putting out information about where he and his kids are at in real time, and they're doing it as a threat. Yeah. And you and I come out and we say that poor psychotic guy with eyelashes and a bra on is not a woman, even though he wants to say he is. And all of a sudden, we're the ones that are endangering people. This is the skewed and deliberately perverse and twisted so-called morality of the left. And we have got to stop giving it any credence whatsoever. We've got to fight it as an enemy, and that's what it is.
All right, if you wouldn't mind if I could ask a question, is that all right? Okay, so what do you think of people saying, don't talk about 2020 election. Don't even talk about this election. People don't like that. People are turned off by that. What do you think of that?
That's the enemy trying to box you in.
Okay, well, there are people that are on our side who are repeating this garbage.
You remember what Lenin called his most devoted minions who would get out and do the dirty work before he'd end up just scooping them all up and throwing them all off in the gulag with everybody else?
Yeah, Republicans.
His useful idiots.
Republicans, right? Useful idiots.
That's it. They're useful rhinos. They're
right.
These people. They're always going to try to color inside the lines because they think that makes them look morally and spiritually superior, and they don't seem to notice, or maybe they do. Maybe they're actually pawns of the enemy and they know it. But the lines that they're trying to color inside of are always being defined for them by the enemy.
If you go to war and do that, you lose. If you know that the enemy is now using these phony polls that say, for example, Trump is going to lose all of a sudden to the DeSantis by a lot. When it was just a complete reversal like 2 weeks ago, then you have to wonder why people on our side are backing this up. It's like we're backing up everything they did to Trump and saying, "Oh, they were right." Come on.
Meanwhile, and you're absolutely right that's what's going on. Yeah. Meanwhile, this week, 41 House Democrat leftists are trying to put through a bill to ban Trump from running for president in 2024. Now, tell me something. If they really felt like he's just going to go get blown out of the water, DeSantis is going to beat him. And don't get me wrong, I like DeSantis. But right now they're trying to make DeSantis into a pawn. But if they really felt like Trump had no chance and it's just going to be a total embarrassment with these polls that you're talking about, would they be trying to put this bill through the
They are scared to death of Donald Trump. They are absolutely petrified from
100%
him because
right,
he's got a pair.
Right.
He's got a big pair down there, and they're afraid he's going to follow through and put these bastards in jail where they belong.
And this is the thing that not only are the overt leftist Democrats terrified of, but your rhinos are terrified of it as well, because they've been doing the same thing to us for years.
Yeah.
In 2016, the chosen candidate of the establishment, I always remind people of this because it's like, this is enough to make you gag. It's so insipid and pathetic. The chosen candidate of the rhino establishment who was going to rally the Republicans and bring us victory and implement our agenda and do all these heroic things was Jeb Bush. And I mean, what a joke that they thought they were going to, put him on us and that we were just going to buy into it and get all excited and rally around him. He would have lost to Hillary in a landslide, and we'd be 4 years further down the slippery slope than we are right now.
But Bush, like George W. Bush right now, who was called a Nazi and everything else, is a big friend to the Barack and Michelle Obama's. Michelle Obama being the person that, as First Lady, told Twitter to drop Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. As Trump was president. Okay. At that particular time, drop him.
This is the deep state. It's the deep state. And I remember when Trump first used the term, they did everything they could to mock and ridicule it as, conspiracy theories and paranoia and all that. We're seeing it. Americans are seeing. Look at the insanity that we've got going on in this so-called White House. And I always keep reminding people, old Joe isn't the one doing any of it. He's just their sock puppet. But we had this lunatic, this raving lunatic, Samuel Brinton, who was in a position of high security over nuclear issues, whatever. He gets arrested because he has this fetish of stealing women's clothing at the airports. And he gets arrested for it. And now so they fired the guy.
I think he still has his.
Why'd they hire him?
He still has his security.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
And who knows what else he did in that position? But why'd they hire him in the first place? It was a total embarrassment to the nation. It was a total disgrace.
Because this is what they want to do.
Compromise of our security.
This is nothing to do with governing. It's about the causes. They get a lot of money off of this. Whatever they're promoting, they're getting tons of money on it. Right now, the border. How much money are they getting from the cartels? The cartels now own us.
In every case, you're right. There's plenty of money greasing palms everywhere. But in every case, they get to do the other thing. And this is why I always say that I'm very, very convinced that Obama's actually behind it.
Oh, sure.
Because each step of the way, what they're doing is disgracing, demeaning, and undermining America.
Yep.
And this is their agenda. From the border to everything else that they do, it's like we're in a weakened, compromised position. And they from the beginning, that's what Obama said he wanted to do. Where there's nothing exceptional about America, and we're all citizens of the world, and all this other rot gut from the leftist globalist crowd. And what they've got to do is destroy the United States.
Now, you know how far this goes back? I was watching a movie about Charlie Chaplin, born in 1888.
Mm-hmm.
And made his career in the teens and the 20s and then the 30s, where he met newly appointed head of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. And Edgar Hoover didn't like this guy because the guy stood up to him. At that time, he was anti-communist, okay? and this guy...
Hoover was.
Huh?
You're saying Hoover was anti-communist.
Yeah, he was anti-communist.
Yeah, okay, because I was going to say Chaplin surely wasn't.
And Chaplin was anti-fascist. All right? And then Hoover made it his lifelong ideal to get Chaplin kicked out of the country, where he pretty much did.
Mm-hmm.
And Chaplin said, screw it, I'm living in Switzerland, because 2 weeks later they said he could come back, or 2 years later or something. He just stayed in Switzerland for the rest of his life. And J. Edgar Hoover, though, I mean, they started this looking for communist things in the actors and actresses and all that. Started those hearings and things. And so he was looking now. They're looking for what are they looking for now?
Patriots.
Trump supporters. Ultra MAGAs. Oh, my goodness.
They're looking for patriots. They're looking for people who want to put America first.
Jewish fascists, like, me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and again, I know you're not confused, but the goal is that. I'd also go back to the Holy Scriptures and say, who's the author of confusion? And we know where it all comes from ultimately. But let me just give you another thing this week. Again, among the atrocities and absurdities coming out. When they had old Joe out there to do that perfunctory signing of that marriage destruction bill, I forget what they call the bill, but it's he's out there signing it, and he has as a guest, he has this drag queen who is on record advocating children sexual exploitation of children, and this is the hero that they bring to the White House. In conjunction with this whole marriage bill, this destruction of marriage bill, I call it. These people, the goal is on every front to undermine, to destroy, eradicate our nation's founding principles, which were Judeo-Christian principles, and which were the reason America thrived. And so they've got to get this stuff out. They've got to destroy this stuff. They've got to supplant it with their absolute perversity and their and of course they always do it under this banner of total sanctimony. Look how morally virtuous we are. We're the caring people and all that. And look at the abuses that actually ensue when they do this.
Sure, and it stems from the border to that kind of ideological confusion and corruption, but they're getting money for it. They're getting tons of money from the cartels. I mean, do you think they'd let the cartels do this if they weren't getting like half?
Well, the other thing is, if you look at where is the biggest source of money in the world, in the entire world, that it gets handed out by the billions on a regular basis to preferred customers, and that's Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody's got that kind of budget to buy people off. that's the reason that in the very first place that I started thinking maybe Trump would be a good candidate in 16, because it dawned on me as a multi-billionaire, they weren't going to be able to buy him off. He already had his private jets, his yachts, everything. They couldn't come in and offer him $1 million, $2 million here or there and get him to sell us out the way they've done with these others.
The only other guy we've had as president, I think, is Harry Truman, who was a business guy. You know, and he was relatively honest, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Well, we could go off into a discussion of Truman,
right.
but
by he was connected. He was connected to the mob.
The enemy, no less than Trump.
He was connected to your relatives in the mob, wasn't he?
He was one of those Missouri guys. So I guess we could say that for him.
So if you're Trump and you're in New York City, you don't think you know the mob? You don't think you're dealing with them every time they build a building? There?
Yeah, you know who to talk to and who to avoid. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know who to forget about.
Back to this this attack on Trump.
Yeah,
where they're trying to say he can't win, and they're going to try and ban him from even running. First of all, the worst nightmare of the Democrats would be if Trump, for whatever reason, doesn't run. DeSantis is the nominee. They can't come up with something in his past. You know, he played spin the bottle with some girl in junior high school.
Who are you talking about, DeSantis?
Guilty of, yeah.
What did you hear about that story?
If they can't nail him,
gosh.
If he wins, he's going to do the same thing. He'll be just as much of an enemy. Their plan is once they fracture
they destroy
the Trump momentum,
well,
is
obviously
to destroy DeSantis.
Sure. Absolutely. Nobody, unless he's joining up with them, nobody gets a pass for that.
And you know, that is a profoundly true statement, Dave, and that's why the dupes on our side who make these statements, well, he's got baggage. You know, Sarah Palin, she's got baggage.
Yeah.
The only people that they don't identify baggage with were people that they figured that they could buy off. And who are we talking about? We're talking about, I'll give you a couple of great examples that they never said they had baggage during the primary, was Mitt Romney and John McCain. And what did they do to both of them in the general election season? They brought up all kinds of baggage, and they
destroyed them. And they were easy to destroy because they didn't fight back.
And that is the whole reason why they were the chosen nominees.
Back. You know, I had one interchange with Donald Trump. It was at CPAC of 2014, I believe. And Lisa was there, and we were in a side room, 150 people maybe at the most. And Donald Trump was the speaker. Can you imagine Donald Trump speaking just before 150 people?
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
That's
anymore.
what Joe Biden does. He can't even get that many. So
he's trying. He seems befuddled. He's up there. He says, "I don't know how Romney got defeated." He says, "I gave money to Romney. I thought he was going to win. I did. I just don't get it." So I couldn't take it anymore. I yelled out rather loud. It's because he laid down in the last two debates. And Trump looks out there, he's looking kind of my way. He says, well, yeah, maybe he did. You know, and from that day on, he became a tough guy.
Well, maybe you had something to do with that, because I'll tell you what.
Maybe.
When Trump was in the debate, you listen to the moderator. The moderator is trying to join with the Democrat to stop Trump from making his point constantly in every debate that he was in.
Let's play. I want to play a clip for you. All right, play number 7.
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it. And I'm proud of him.
But why was he given tens of millions of dollars?
But he wasn't.
What do you think?
Well, first of all, if you listen to how Biden is responding there, it's obvious that the little earpiece was trying really hard to tell him, he's talking about your other son. He's talking about you because he's totally confused there. But the other thing is that, he's getting around to Bo, his son, being the hero. I think he said the Conspicuous Service Award. I have to look that one up. But he's listening to an earpiece the whole time.
I think he knowingly did that. I think he knowingly replaced Bo over Hunter.
Oh, he might have done that because he's trying to argue his way out. But tell me something. If Trump had told that many lies, how many lies did we hear from Biden? Right there, maybe 10.
In that debate, that was early October before the 2020 elections.
Right, and
okay.
I told people, and I stand by this, that he had some sort of an earpiece that he was listening to because he can't tell you what day of the week it is, and you can hear that in that conversation there.
Can we play that
if you
thing?
Play that a little bit further, you hear the moderator, the so-called moderator, is in there, and he's constantly saying we're trying to be an open discussion on it. He's trying consistently and incessantly to shut Trump down because it's him and Biden against Trump, because that's the only way they could try to create any facade of coherence on Biden's part.
I want to play you something.
10 lies like Biden just did during that period. Don't you think we would be hearing 24/7 ever since that Trump? I mean, look at the lies he told in that debate. They've been listing them.
All right, listen. I want to get a more current take on Biden right now. Can you do that?
Which
one? The one where he's in the plane, in the helicopter, coming down the steps.
Oh, yeah. Be sure the screen will
Yeah, the Eagles landed. Okay. I want you to hear this one. He's gonna do this, I think. Be able to do it. All right. The audience will see this. You won't see it, but you're gonna hear. He's getting off a helicopter, and he's got the Secret Service with him.
Way down the helicopter stairs. We know his history with stairs, and this could be a disaster. Stand by. Eagle has made it down the stairs. He was a little wobbly at the end, but he made it. Eagle appears to be very disoriented today. We're going to need to do like last time and point out exactly where we need him to go. Secret Service team, prepare to point. Hold that point. Perfect. No way he could miss that. Eagle will be turning in 5, 4, 3, 2. He missed his mark. Eagle is wandering. All units be advised, we are going to need a pretty lady or small child of some sort with nice smelling hair to get the Eagle back on track. And we've lost visual.
Hey, I wish you could see
Okay, I guess I see why people watch TikTok. That's funny.
Secret Service team.
That's enough.
I'm actually watching this, and I could see it. I don't have the sound.
Oh, were you seeing it? Yeah, you didn't have the sound on that one?
No, I heard the sound, and
okay.
What I'm thinking as I'm listening to this is it sounds like a parody. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand it's real, but it is so insane.
Well, I don't know.
Like
it was an actual photo of him getting off this helicopter, and of the Secret Service guys. Now, the voice probably was inserted, but this was an actual thing where the Secret Service guy is pointing in a direction. He points there, tells the instructor says, "Stay there," until he sees it for sure, and then he turns around and walks away, and he missed turning. He missed the turn. Okay, walking.
It doesn't surprise me one bit. Again,
it's amazing,
and this has been obvious since about probably late 2019, early 2020. It's like, how in the world is this guy actually going to function in his office? Well, he's not.
Right.
What they're doing is they just keep up enough of a facade. But think about the other total frauds and facades that they've pushed on us for the last how many years? And I mean, on overdrive in the last 2 or 3 years. We can go to the whole COVID thing and the I don't want to make you sing again, but the whole horse medicine thing, the whole Fauci thing with the masks and social distancing and all this. The man can become a woman thing. I can go down the list of all the absurdities, and part of it is you're going to show you're a good citizen by jumping through whatever hoops we put in front of you. It's again, going back to General Michael Flynn and the PSYOPs, it's a way of conditioning us to be, we're supposed to be a bunch of mindless dupes. That's what they expect of us.
Yeah.
That's what they demand of us. Meanwhile, I want to tell you something else that Trump is talking about, and here again, why the left is absolutely furious at the prospect of him running, and terrified, and doing everything they can to get the dupes on our side to walk away from him. And that's he has a free speech policy.
Right.
I don't have the whole thing written down, but I got just several points that he talked about.
I heard it. It's about a 6 minutes.
He wants to get in power, and he wants to fire the bureaucrats who have been involved with propagandizing and suppressing free speech. He wants the DOJ to investigate them, which of course means the DOJ itself would have to be, thoroughly fumigated.
Sure.
And he overall is wanting to demand compliance and accountability from the feds. He's saying if he gets in, he's going to have a cease and desist order on destroying records, because the current so-called administration, the things that they've actually been doing, they're criminal, they're treasonous. We need to have the evidence, and we need to be able to produce it and use it to put these traitors on trial, frankly.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, my friend, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people buy your book and find you?
It's still on Amazon, and Rules for Defeating Radicals, and my websites. Okay, you mentioned DaveWeinbaum.net, great site.
Yes, thank you.
GOP USA, America First Report, and then Red Voice Media. Those are several of them where it can be found. And I probably won't have an article out this week, everybody, because, like I said, I'm on the road. But we're going to try and get back in gear pretty quickly. And I would urge people to have a look. You need to get General Flynn's book there on fifth generation warfare, because it's the big picture that we need to see about the propaganda war that's being waged on us to manipulate us, and all these other things that you and I have talked about. The total frustration we feel. You get to see the big picture on their global effort and their global plan for us. And the best way to beat an enemy is to know what he's up to.
Chris, the other day I drove out to buy
Lisa, here
Will you stop interrupting me? Stop interrupting me.
I'm already in trouble today, Chris.
I drove.
Sorry, you're on your own.
You know what? I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do one that's nastier.
Oh.
No. I heard do the one that's not nasty.
Chris, no. You have earned the nasty one. I heard you tried to donate your brain to science, but they were only taking used ones. There you go.
That one's good.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to use that one. What I was going to use was...
I get them both.
I drove out to buy a condo, but ended up with a flat. See, that was non-binary.
Oh, okay. Do we have the crickets?
That's fine. Apparently you like the nasty ones, so I'll come up with more nasty ones for you. All right. Thank you. You have a great weekend.
You guys
and
keep up the great work.
Enjoy your travels, and you do it too, okay? Always great talking to you. Chris Adamo! All right, hi to cousin Guido. Okay, it's Chris Adamo. He's always a hoot. The guy can't stop talking. That's my job. Now, Lisa will tell me, you interrupt people too much.
That's correct.
Okay, you're interrupting me right now.
Okay.
I was just reflecting.
You have a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. If we're on air and you're telling me I've got to give you show prep while I'm talking on air, that's a problem. I can't do both.
You were just in the middle of something.
It must mean that you think I'm so great that I can do two things at once. I've got to give everything to the audience. It's kind of like
now, where you weren't really doing anything in the show except yakking.
Oh, my God.
That's when I asked the very important question.
Is it a good time to go to commercial break then?
It might be, because I'm thinking of other nasty jokes now for my wife, and that's never going to work out real well. I think we go to commercial. Go find one of these clients of mine, and I spend money with all of them. Some of them have actually made me money through investments, and that's A-car real estate, and through my experiences, yes. I love all of them, and you need to spend your money with them. Hit it.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, now I don't want you to think I'm really that good, all right? I am pretty good. I'm pretty disciplined, but I just went to the bathroom and came back, and I wanted to know how many seconds. I didn't want people to see me sitting down. Again, I wanted you to know that I'm a human being. I go to the bathroom, and if I'm a little late, I will stand here and do radio stuff or podcast stuff. While I'm standing, I can do both. And if you notice my T-shirt, this is my friend Kent Dinsdale, who is retiring as the main guy at Oak Meadow Country Club, and he's a good guy. Been a little under the weather, but
he's been there for a long time.
Been there for a long time. Great, a great coach. He's given me a lot of tips. I mean, I'm not good, but at least I'm palpable. I mean, I'm competitive a little bit, you know. With my handicap, I could be destructive on occasion. You know, I could actually be good, make some money for my teammates. I've done it. All right, up next we've got Bill Hardwick, who's going to come in. He's a brilliant guy, and I'm looking forward to, not that I didn't like any of the show. I think it's been a great show so far. I am looking forward to these two guys, Bill Hardwick, and hopefully I can keep them long enough to listen to Jeff Zink. Could be some breaking news out of Arizona for Jeff's and Carrie Lake's lawsuit against the state of Arizona. Actually, it could be big news for the whole entire universe, if you think about it, because if they get a judge to reverse the decisions in Arizona, think of the precedent that sets for other judges in other areas. And if it's based on similar evidence, and they got evidence, they got tons of evidence. Apparently they're going to have tons of whistleblowers who are connected to the election, who are connected to Katie Hobb. And I think this should be absolutely captivating, or it'll be nothing. I mean, you know, you take your chance. Well, it could be a nothing burger. It could be, well, we don't know what's going to happen, and I suspect it's going to be more like that than, yeah, we think we got something going here. But we'll see. No judge has made a decision yet, to my knowledge. Hasn't been tried yet. I understand Carrie has been given the opportunity to present her evidence to a judge. So, you know, we'll go from that. Nothing's happened so far, but if you stop swinging, you're never going to hit the ball, and a lot of times you're going to strike out.
Famous quote by Michael Jordan: "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take."
Yeah, you got that. I got a chance to talk to my grandson Daxton, who wrestled again. That was the last wrestling event of his season. That was it. Yeah, and he wrestled some tough competition, and he had 3 matches last night. 3. Now, he doesn't have to do that. He's wrestling guys that are bigger than him and more experienced, at least yesterday. And he got whooped twice, and he won 1. And he was just out of it after he won the second match. Went and actually was so tired that he vomited.
He didn't win the third one?
And he did not win the third one either.
It was another big kid.
And so I told him, I says, you know, you might want to. He ended the season 13-2. That's in 3 matches. He wrestled that many people, 13-2. Okay? And some of it was just his overeagerness to get on the mat, because the season's just starting, and a lot of times they don't have enough kids to match up with the other kids. So, it's interesting, though. They have girls wrestling now. There are still a couple of girls that wrestled guys, which is probably a bad idea, because it's so discouraging for the girls. Generally, they don't win those. And so, girl upon girl, that's one thing. Girl against guys, I'm not so sure.
When I was in high school there in St. James, I think it was our freshman year, we had a girl that had played football for a couple years in junior high, and she played freshman football.
Yeah?
Not kidding. Yep.
Okay. Was she any good?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But she played.
It's tough. It's tough. And that's one of the reasons, you don't want to have it go the other way. You don't want guys who happen to change a few things about their gender beating up on girls that have female hormones, female type muscles. It's not the same. It's not fair. What does that do for women's sports? Because it'll destroy it. Because these guys are going to win. These guys who become gals are going to win. Okay? Because they're stronger. All right? So, let's see what else can we do until Bill gets here?
I know he's here. He said he's coming up the elevator. I think we have a couple more clips we can play, too.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's see. Why don't we do 8 and 9? Hit it, please.
You propose $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050. The president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035, not only not costing people jobs, creating millions of good-paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that, in fact, is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest here who has just been given his coffee, as apparently that's what the payment's going to be from now on. And he is a representative. Oh, well, he's got a song we're going to play, right? Yep. Hit it.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Representative of the District 122. And he rules as a philosopher, historian, lawyer, professor, and he was a leader of a platoon in Iraq. And he is now in the running for Trump Attorney General should Trump once again be named president. Please welcome all the way from Waynesville, Missouri, Bill Hardwick.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well. How
It's
about
like
yourself?
We're standing off. It's like a wrestling match, shaking hands, and then you're going to go at it. Good. How? And so what was your final destination? As were you a lieutenant? Were you a captain?
Lieutenant Colonel.
Wow, that's a big deal. What's next? Isn't that general?
Full bird colonel would be the next promotion, and then it'd be brigadier general.
Wow, so you were up there. Did you ever think about staying in?
I'm still in the Guard now.
I know you're in the Guard, but are you? Would you ever go full? Can you go back full?
I guess I could. I like being in politics, though. I think that's where I'm kind of apt to be. I think I'm making a bigger difference there.
I think that's true.
So I kind of like that. It seems like where I should stay and make the most impact in that arena.
I think you could. You probably have the power to say more in politics than you do in the type of setup that soldiers are in.
Yeah, that's right. You get to toe the party line as an officer, and I feel like I can help soldiers better by speaking out on behalf of soldiers here.
Sure.
And I think I make a bigger impact this way. And I'm starting to get where I'm starting to say what I really think. It's gradually coming out of me. So I think it's good.
So in other words, you were affected by that. You got where pretty much you have to watch what you say when you're in the actual armed forces.
It's ingrained in me not to be disrespectful to other people and to have good bearing and treat people honorably, right, and have discipline, do the right thing, which I think that's still part of me. But there's also part of me that it knows that if you don't speak up, then you're somehow responsible for things that happen.
You're turning into a rebel. I meant that in a nice way. So let's talk a little bit about the border.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing really. I know I can't watch it every day. I can't watch you see people standing on one side of the river or the next. It's hard to watch. However, this is the most important issue, I believe, of our time. I mean, the ramifications of what's going on down there are that we are no longer going to be a country. We're no longer going to have fair elections because they're going to take just the 5 to 10 million they're going to get over. We don't even know how many really are getting over the line. They're going to be trained to vote for one party. That's the Democrats. So we'll be lucky if even when they cheat right now, we don't have a good way of answering them. But when they throw 5 to 10 million people they've trained to be grateful to them, who got them over into the country, when will we win another election after that?
Us winning another election is its own question we could talk about too. But you're right. No other country would say you could just kind of come across the border illegally. You can have benefits. You can vote potentially. That's just kind of a mind-boggling policy because part of what makes us a country is us having a political border, us defining citizenship, and citizens being able to vote. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that everybody who immigrates from Mexico or Central America is going to vote Democrat. I mean, there's a lot of studies that immigrants arrive to America and maybe have pro-life sentiments or start businesses and become successful. And starting a business and, being a member of a church is a pretty good indicator for voting Republican, actually. So I'm not sure it's a foregone conclusion, but even the point is made. I do care how people vote. But the issue to me is greater, which is we have to have a border, and we have to define who, as a country, what makes us a country. There are different things: our sovereignty, and our ability to defend ourselves, and our ability to say who gets to come in and out of our country. That's part of what makes us a country. And if we don't affirm that, we have a serious national security problem. What stops, Russia or China from sending 10,000 people across the southern border? There's nothing. They're doing it right now.
There's 48 countries.
Yeah. What starts all of our enemies from sending spies across the border?
Yeah, including terrorists.
Not to mention the human trafficking.
Oh.
Not to mention the fentanyl. Not to mention the people that are getting kidnapped and dragged forth across the border. The kids being sold into slavery that are coming across the southern border. All that stuff is a major human rights disaster. And the Democrat Party in the United States of America is ignoring it completely and acting like nothing to see here. And anything you say contrary, you're accused of racism.
They're not,
and it's absurd.
They're not ignoring it; they're encouraging it.
Because they think there's going to be more voters for the Democrats in the future.
Okay, but
it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty short-sighted.
You mentioned that these new aliens, these new illegal aliens, most of them, almost all, well, they might not vote. They might decide to go for a Republican.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to take a generation or two. Remember the Latinos who were recently here voted Democrat. Now all of a sudden they've been here a while, a couple of years or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe a generation. Then they turn to see, well, I don't want this country taken over. I escaped the country. I don't want it to be like that.
Yeah,
and now Trump got a huge amount of the Latino votes,
yes,
and a huge amount of black votes, because the blacks didn't want to see their jobs taken.
Yes, in 2022, Republicans got a huge share of Latino voters and black voters as well.
Yeah.
So first, a principle of conservatism, I think, is everybody's an individual, right? Because you're white or black or Latino, you can make up your own mind about if you like Republicans or Democrats. It is true that Republicans are doing a lot better with Latino voters than they have during Mitt Romney, for example. Mitt Romney probably did the worst among minority voters at any presidential candidate in recent memory. But Donald Trump did way better. And this last election, Republicans generally did way better, and Florida especially. Cuban immigrants seem to gravitate toward conservatives a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a reaction to the horrors of communism.
Sure.
I think there are a lot of people who come to this country on the promise of the American dream, and they could see, like someplace like California, where the regulations and laws are insane. Nobody can start a business. Nobody can succeed in a business. Everybody's either got to be a multi-zillionaire or be on the government dole. Those are two options in a state like California. And people get sour to that. You also kind of look at the extreme social liberalism of the Democrat Party, that a man is a woman is a man. Nobody's allowed to say there's such a thing as a woman.
Yeah, they'll get fired.
People from other countries around the world think that like wokeness is nuts, because it's nuts, right? Like it's not like an enlightened position.
What other country is doing that?
No, there are other countries that have sort of like this social permissivism, but there's not a country that like America that says you're not allowed to say men and women are different. I was at a hearing one time. We had a transgender bill, which we're going to do again this next session. I think this is the year we're going to have a bill on the issue of transgender sports and the issue of physically transitioning children, and I hope inculcating children too. I think this is the year it's going to happen. But I was at a hearing one time, and I said something like, one of the people asked me, are men and women different? And I said, yes, men and women are biologically different. I don't think women are better than men or whatever, but they're biologically different. And that resulted in,
mayhem.
FUs to me and stuff.
Really?
Like that. Yes. And I was like, what did I say that was so bad? I just said something that was plainly true. And I didn't even say it in a mean way. And so that's kind of the state of affairs we are in our country. You say something normal, truthful, that's not even mean, and you're not allowed to say that anymore. And I think so. My point is, okay, people coming across the southern border, you may be welcome with open arms of Democrats to be like, hey, free everything,
yeah.
Make your life miserable. We're the ones who accepted you here,
right?
But it's not a foregone conclusion that any generation is going to go down the road to the left or not.
Yeah, well, it's highly predictable that, in my opinion, because they feel like they owe it to the Democratic Party for this, that they will at first vote Democrat. But to your point, after they get a little adjusted and make their way out to making a living, to maybe owning a business, to maybe politically seeing that if this continues, that they're going to be out of a job. They're going to turn red.
There was a study that used to be done, and it was talking about legal immigrants, that first and second generation immigrants predominantly voted Republican. And that was often the case where immigrants came to America and they wanted to start a business, and and there are lots of family businesses started by immigrants in America.
Yeah.
And and immediately when you start a business, you realize the IRS is way too powerful, oppressive, that the government is trying to get their boot on your neck all the time. and you just want to kind of make your own decisions, live your own life, and that leans toward republicanism. But then as generations went on, those kids went off to college and they kind of got ingratiated in the university scene and the middle America rat race, and those kids turned more liberal. But their parents who came to America and came from whatever country they came from, and they got here and they were like, this is amazing, right? The only problem is I've got a government that's trying to control my life, right? But so those people
one would
tend to
think,
Republican.
so it's a mixed bag.
Sure.
Is what
Absolutely.
you're telling me.
Absolutely.
And you just very kindly disputed my argument very well, by the way.
No, you're not You're not wrong, Dave. You're not wrong, Dave. I'm just trying to give you a glimmer of hope to people change their minds.
Well, let's say that's something that I'm pretty sure of. There's been a mandate change in the armed forces.
The National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah, right. And tell me what's right with this bill and tell me what's wrong with the bill.
Okay. So as you alluded to, that when the Republicans won the 2022 House elections, Kevin McCarthy, who needs to be Speaker, he has a narrow path to Speaker. His best way to be Speaker was to give the conservatives in the House what they want. And the Republicans stood strong in the House and Senate and said there's no National Defense Authorization Act, which it authorizes force structure. It's paired with a funding bill for our military. It's something we have to have a functioning military every year. Yeah. He said that doesn't pass unless the COVID vaccine mandate goes away for military service members. Last week, that passed in the House. Yesterday evening, it passed in the U.S. Senate. And now it goes to Joe Biden's desk. He hasn't said whether or not he's going to sign it, but I think he will. It sounds like he will, even though he and the defense secretary said they oppose it. So that's a really good thing. As you know, and I hope everybody knows now, I'm really opposed to the COVID vaccine mandate, and I think we treated soldiers pretty poorly over the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's going away. That's a good thing in the bill. Now, whether or not they try to do it in the future, we'll see. I wouldn't put it past anybody at this point. At this point, I have trouble trusting anybody in politics. But, okay, so that's a good deal, though, for our service members. The Republicans wanted language that said we reinstate and give back pay to people who were discharged. Darrell Issa said he was going to file a bill to that effect. I think Ted Cruz filed a bill to that effect in the Senate. So if the Republicans actually take the House in earnest, we may see debate on that next year. And I think that'd be fine.
And obviously, you believe that they're owed back pay.
I think it was immoral what we did. And I did my best to...
Unconstitutional.
We skirted a lot of laws. We skirted a lot of laws and regulations that were on the books.
Is that another word for unconstitutional?
It's not. So there's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits it. So I don't use that word unconstitutional.
I thought there was. You have a right to your own body. It does not.
You have a right. Yeah, that's not. So that's not written in the Constitution. Some people interpret Constitution penumbra that you have autonomy. There's a privacy right implied in the Fourth Amendment. Your right to privacy. But so, yeah, there could be situations where the military can mandate vaccines, require them. I think that could be constitutional. But the way this was implemented, I think, was illegal, violated the statute. And I also think it was unethical and immoral. And I think it was political. We're going to exercise control, and we're going to squash anybody who tries to defy us.
Well, since you're kind of limited to Missouri right now,
yeah.
Before you take off and become the Attorney General to Donald Trump, I think maybe a bill might be important that you pass in the legislature that says that it's illegal to force people to take vaccines.
Yeah, I'm going to try again.
You did try that.
I tried it last year. I got a supermajority in the House. Even 5 Democrats voted for my bill. It passed out of the House in short order. It got stalled in the Senate. I worked as hard as I could to get through committee in the Senate. It's a lot of work to get a bill passed. Several bills I filed have been passed in law, and many things I've written are Missouri law now.
Okay.
But it's a lot of work. It takes you have to get up early. You have to stay out late. You have to stay on the phone all the time when you're talking to people. Mm-hmm. You just have to keep working at it.
And you have to be on time, don't you?
I was here exactly at 10.
No, I was talking to her, but you were a little late.
Well, maybe 10 and 30 seconds or something. But so it's a lot of work. So last year it went through everything. It just was a vote away in the Senate.
Yeah. And
it went kaput. So, but I'm going to try it again because I think it's important. But I also think that as we keep inventing things, we invent new technologies.
Yeah.
I don't want Pfizer or whatever to keep inventing things throughout the 21st century and the government to say everybody's got to take it or you lose your job. That's bad.
Well, it's investment in it.
They made a lot of money.
Right.
They made a lot, but it was morally wrong.
Have you ever seen the documentary
Died Suddenly?
Died Suddenly?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
The one part's so I don't know. I know some of it's true. I don't know if all of it's true, right? I can't corroborate every story in it.
Right.
I think the embalmers are probably telling the truth.
Yeah.
The part about the military, that is true. The DMED data, because I remember that happened. I was there. The DMED data came out.
Tell us about that again, because I didn't quite catch.
So what happened
that.
was, I lived through the experience of it, and then I watched that documentary, and I go, oh, that really did happen. So we were, we were having a conversation, and many officers were, folks were just like, hey, safe, da-da-da. And I was like, well, have you seen this DMED data that came out? These whistleblowers who report insurance, they were tracking insurance and reimbursables were like, look, everything that's a COVID vaccine side effect is like off the charts in the military. Miscarriages, neurological diseases, strokes, heart problems were high. And they reported it to Senator Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson put it. It's still on his website.
Yeah.
He listed the things. They're all decided. I'm talking like, I don't remember the numbers, but it's like 300%, 400%, 500% increase among blood clots, neurological disorders.
And this is just in the Army.
It's in the
Army, Armed Forces.
And it started after they imposed the vaccine mandate. And so he was like, this is messed up. We need to stop this. And then he kind of does this thing where he looks in the camera and he goes, and I remember, he goes, Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, you're on notice that you're not going to leak this data. This is out there. And then it was like within a week, the DOD took it all down and it disappeared. And cause I remember that because I sent it to somebody and then I Googled it to try to find it again. I saw the headline that said DOD says it's a computer glitch. And I went, and by the way, I sound like a conspiracy theorist when I talk, but I'm not crazy. It's what I'm telling you. Like this really happened. I go, it sounded like it was a glitch. And then I looked it up and it goes, yeah, DOD took it down, said it was computer error. But then somebody remarked that to me. They go, yeah it was just a total mistake. And I go,
right.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But why
and
was
they believe it.
But I go, but why was it just a glitch for myocarditis and miscarriages? Why wasn't there a glitch for sprained ankles and colds? You know what I mean? Why was it only a glitch that shot up 500, 600% these certain side effects?
Yeah, and that's
so
critical.
how can you believe that?
I mean,
anyway, so it makes me mad.
Have you ever read a VAERS report?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to be. I'm trying not to be like the vaccine guy, but I really am the freedom guy, and I really am the like you can't do this to people at this point, guy. Like it was just wrong, and it also plays into the whole problem with COVID. It plays in with the lockdowns and the we're going to shut down your life and shut down your business. It plays into all this where conservatism.
Oh, and you become the evil guy if you refuse to take the shots.
When I ran for office, yeah, that's right. That's right. You're a bad person.
Yeah.
When I ran for office, I filed in February of 2020. Missouri had shut down a little bit after that. In April, I wrote an op-ed, and it was my first kind of foray in politics, and said, you can't tell people they have to stay in their homes. You can't tell a mom if they're an essential worker or not, because only she knows if she needs to leave her house or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, we have to let my point was we have to let people out of their houses and go back to life and figure out how to deal with COVID, or we're not going to have an economy. But it's like you can't tell a family, you know what I mean? Like you'll leave and you can get bread and come back home.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right.
It's too controlling. And man, that was the first set of political attacks I got. People writing op-eds about me saying, Bill would have got his soldiers killed in Baghdad. He's reckless. He wants everybody to die of COVID, that sort of thing.
Okay.
That's how it started.
But you know what? You got to stand for that. You have to stand up and fight back.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
a soldier. You can't take that kind of stuff without firing back at them.
Yeah. I try to choose my battles a little bit, but you're right. I redefined, because I was thinking about what conservatives were trying to figure out what they are. And after COVID, I think conservatives were like, maybe the government shouldn't be making these decisions if I have to take this vaccine, if I have to stay in my house. Maybe our family should make that decision for ourselves. Maybe our family can know best what's for our family. Maybe how my kids get raised and, whether or not they wear a mask or whether or not they're taught critical race theory. Maybe that's a decision parents should make,
Yeah.
Not the government.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, conservatism was reborn out of COVID.
Sure.
It had some principles. And I just hope we don't lose those because it's like you're saying, the fight's not over. There's going to be more things coming up after COVID.
There's always something.
There's more things, yeah.
Always something. Okay, and it's never going to be complete. There's always going to be a other side to the story. But you got to, a lot of the people on the other side, not all, but a lot of them know better, in my opinion. They know better.
I think I'm trying to. So
it's
some people
deliberate.
Some people just don't care. I realize now, but some people are legitimately scared. They're so scared of what people think of them, and they're so scared to be ostracized. They don't want to say anything. Like, everybody knows this is. By the way, this is what I personally think. Yeah. By now, every person who's thinking and pay attention knows it's a sham, right? Yeah. But they can't say that because they're afraid of getting shouted down at the town square.
Well, we got, what did we have, an hour of our show taken out last week?
Yeah, we
were
off
don't know
air
exactly why that happened.
You been on Twitter?
Facebook. I'm on Twitter.
Twitter's great now.
Oh, I know.
No, it was Facebook last week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Twitter star.
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly tell Elon Musk what to do, and he might read it. I don't know.
Elon's doing great
so far, and he's getting vilified. Mm-hmm. And he's got people that monitor his plane.
Yeah.
And he blocked them, and then he blocked the Washington Post reporter and some other reporter from New York Times.
Private company.
And said, look, you can't monitor, and they're giving him crap because he did that to them. He says, you cannot put my family in danger.
Yeah.
That's not, nobody tolerates
free
that.
speech, yeah.
That's not free speech, exactly.
No, and they're flipping out. The media's flipping out over it, but...
I got to read you this.
Go ahead.
Jeff Zink, good morning, Weinbaum land. I didn't know I had a land.
We could have a theme park.
I thought this was it. All right. And when are you going into your gymnastics act? Anyways, I can't wait to come on to the show to give an update on what is going on in Arizona. Okay, and we're going to have Jeff Zink on shortly. And by the way, we're going to have Bill Hardwick in the year, and that's going to be. I'm looking forward to this. I don't consider this work at all. This is going to be fun to hear what's going on in Arizona.
If I could ask Bill a quick question.
Of course, you can ask me anything.
So he didn't get permission from me, though. All right, go ahead.
So, talking about how now they've removed the COVID-19 vax from the military with this new bill.
It'll go into effect 30 days after Joe Biden signs it.
So, is there any hope that the rest of federal employees can expect that might be taken out for them because they're just still in effect?
Yeah, it just rescinds the military mandate. Yep. So a lot of federal employees I talked to are Fort Leonard Wood have just have filed an exemption, and it's kind of like went away a little bit. They were, you know what I mean? Like they kind of let it go. People just had their exemptions in limbo. So I don't know what will ultimately happen there. I hope that when the Republicans take power for real, that they just go back and address it and try to get rid of all the mandates. I've tried to get rid of the mandate for healthcare workers too. It's just messed up. But I think that they will. But yeah, you're right. They're still in place so there are different lawsuits for the federal employees and contractors, and then a district court will rule one way, another court will rule the other way. The Supreme Court seems like they're punting the issue almost altogether. So there's some issues they're taking up that are good, but on this issue, the Supreme Court's kind of like not really waded into it.
Do you have any problems with the Supreme Court not weighing into the fraud allegations and sometimes proof of election fraud?
Oh yeah.
What do you think what amendment applies to that?
So in Bush v. Gore, it was I think the 14th Amendment and the 15th Amendment. They brought up constitutional issues. They raised it on appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, so there is election language in the Constitution, and whether or not we have judicial, this just goes to the states. The Congress can say the date, but the manner it goes to the states, and the state legislatures determine that, and they pick electors. So that's constitutional. So it's a U.S. Constitution. So there's something for the Supreme Court to review if that was done in the matter, the matter that's prescribed by the Constitution. But I feel like the Supreme Court wants to avoid that issue generally, because they feel like. And I think I go back to the story in 2020 where the clerk said John Roberts was like, "Hey, this country's going to burn down. We're going to tear this country apart. We can't get into this." And some of the new justices wanted to address it, and I think that's kind of the.
What does that got to do with upholding the Constitution? You're not supposed to be able to do that as a judge. I thought.
Well, the Supreme Court can pick and choose whatever cases they take. That's true. They can't. If there's like 1 million cases appealed to them. They can't hear 1 million reviews, right? That's true.
But to do it for that reason,
you
can say, okay, well, this I don't want to do this because It has nothing to do with the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that, but there have been studies done that the First Amendment has been signified as covering your right to vote and to have your vote counted.
It's expression.
It's free. It's your expression. So I would, if I, we got Jeff Zink up here,
okay,
and I'm going to play some music for him, or he'll cry like a little baby. Oh my God!
Daddy served in the army. We lost his right eye, but he flew a flag out in our yard till the day that he died.
I can't play as much of it because they cancel us when this happens. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, kinesiologists. I have to say that just because it doesn't matter that he is one, but because I want to remind myself I can still say that. Division I football player and basketball referee, the Arizona audit expert, candidate for Congress in Maricopa County, now in a lawsuit with Kari Lake versus the state of Arizona. All the way from Arizona, let's welcome Jeff Zink. Jeff, why are you wearing a Santa Claus hat, or is that an elf hat?
That's a Santa hat. For Christmas, we're going to deliver a new election to Arizona. We're going to make sure that our country is starting to right the ship back to the way that we have people that are not being disenfranchised like they are here. We had a huge debacle, this crazy election where Katie Hobbs, we call her Hobgoblin because of Halloween and everything, but she basically has, run an election in which she was running for governor, refused to step down, which should be a conflict of interest there. And then we had Bill Gates and Steve Richer, who was Bill Gates, a board of supervisor, and then Steve Richer is the county recorder, created a pact that actually campaigned against Kari Lake. Now, these are two Republicans that campaigned against a Republican. So we can tell that these are rhinos. These are people that are part of the deep state that are just as corrupt. You can tell what kind of congressman I'm going to be. I'm going to name names. I'm going to call people out for who they are, and what they represent. One of the things that I had done, which was Mark Fincham and myself had filed a lawsuit together. Kari Lake had filed against Katie Hobbs. So we had two separate lawsuits going on. However, I've been since day one working with Kari Lake, and I had to make a decision as to which one I could spend the most time in. And Kari, so I ended up getting out of my lawsuit that I had with Mark Fincham, and it was political. It wasn't political. It wasn't anything that one case is better than the other. It's just that I had spent so much time on the audit for 2020 and then turning this evidence over, which then was used in the primary of 2022. And then also it's being utilized in this midterm election and stuff. And we've come across some things that are very disheartening. We're well over 1,600 sex offenders that have been registered and voted. They had no idea that they had voted. One of the things that we've uncovered in this is that Katie Hobbs gave the front door keys to Maricopa County's database, and an NGO is able to go in. So someplace that is a Democratic stronghold, which is Chicano, Porto La Casa, is one of the groups here in Phoenix, that they have the ability to go into the Maricopa County Service, Arizona, and they can then register people to vote. They can then capture off of Service, Arizona, their signature, transplant it onto this new document, paste it there, and then submit it. Now, think about this. I have a dormant person, or what we've also found are students. So people that go to GCU or AC or Arizona State University, you know, they're here for 4 years, then they leave and they go to another state, they get their jobs, they go and live their life. Well, then all of a sudden that becomes dormant. Well, we've been able to prove that they have woken that up. And so we had well over 300,000 ballots that were cast here in Arizona that have no chain of custody, which is a huge deal. You have to maintain chain of custody and stuff. And so, you know, this whole debacle of Election Day, you know, while I can't get into the case itself because it's ongoing litigation, we have a lot of evidence, especially with the signatures. And so as of last night, Katie Hobbs and Steve Richer had the ability to file a dismissal based on whatever they're going to come up with. And so we have to have a response by noon tomorrow on Saturday. So, you know, I literally stayed home so I could do your podcast. I'm going to be running. We've got to go to the courthouse. We've got to do a couple of things there at the courthouse real quick with the attorneys. And then I got to get back, and I have more evidence that we're still working on and uncovering. Right. So every day that goes by, we're uncovering more and more evidence that we're going to be presenting and amending to our case.
Jeff, I want you to know that Bill Hardwick is here.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Bill. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing, sir?
JP, you got anything you want to ask?
Well, you said you can't talk to the case. Can you just tell us where it is in the process? Is the case pending trial?
Okay, so we filed on Tuesday. That we had and we presented over 6,000 pieces of evidence, each individual evidence in regards to disenfranchisement of a voter. We also filed with declarations. We have declarations that were also filed there. We have whistleblowers that also are involved in that are going to be testifying, and we also have disenfranchised declarations of Election Day where people were poll watchers and workers that actually observed what was going on. We have one person from Runbeck that is a whistleblower that's going to be testifying. All of that evidence was entered into, and where we're at, the judge has accepted it. He did seal the evidence to make sure that we have redacted all information, because there is personal information on there. There's names, there's addresses, there's emails, phone numbers. All of that has to be redacted. So they're making sure that we did our job and redacted everything so that we don't have anybody that's doxxed. As of last night, they filed, Katie Hobbs and them filed their dismissal. And so now we're in the process of looking at that dismissal, and then we're going to have our attorneys then turn around and have a response, and we have to have that turned in on Saturday.
What dismissal? Who got dismissed?
No, it's a motion to dismiss the case.
From the other side?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were saying it was already dismissed. That would be a problem.
No.
Right.
It was just that they filed a dismissal. It has to be heard. We have to have a rebuttal, and that's where we're at in the process.
By the way, could you move over a little bit? Is Carrie sitting right there?
No. Carrie has been doing a lot of long hours. We've been meeting with her attorneys. She's been meeting with the attorneys. You know, the other day I got home at 3:30 in the morning. I got a phone call at 5:30 in the morning. I've been going. Last night I got to come home at 12 o'clock. I actually got sleep till about 4:30, so I got about 4 hours of sleep. That's about the average of what's going on, and we've been going 90-0.
All right, so so you're still in the fight. God bless you. Now, what kind of press are you getting? You and Katie, or Carrie?
Well,
sorry.
My personal, they've kind of, because I dropped out of the Mark Fincham lawsuit.
Yeah.
I'm now not in the limelight any longer. They basically were saying that, my race was 108,000 votes for Reuben, 36,000 for myself. I was doing it so that I could collect more money, doing this and that. That was the furthest from the truth. That lawsuit is specific to the tabulating machines and their certification. My choice of what I had to make was, because I wasn't being able to spend time with the attorneys that were going to be representing me, I wasn't spending any time on that case. I had to personally make a decision to step out because I don't want to be blindsided. I don't want to do anything. And so with Carrie's case, I've been behind the scenes working with them every day. I knew more about her case than I did about my own case. And so it was best that I step out of that. Since then, I really haven't had that much there. What will happen is that once Carrie wins this, we're expecting it to go all the way to the Supreme Court very quickly. We will win this case. Once we've won it, it'll go into an appeals system very quickly. And the reason why is this. A lot of people are very concerned. Mark Kelly's not going to be able to go to Washington, D.C. When our election is then put back into a re-election.
He is,
the
right?
thing is that
astronaut.
We're trying to make sure that the transfer of power takes place, but we have an election that was so horrendously bad. Talk about the fox running the hen house. That's exactly what happened. So you've got all of these nefarious people, Bill Gates, Jack Sellers, Steve Garrido. These are all Board of Supervisors there. We have Steve Richer, who's the county recorder. All of these people are corrupt.
Yeah.
They only want power so that they can tell people what to do. They're still in non-compliance, the Board of Supervisors, of giving the passwords over for the Dominion machines, the ES&S machines that we use here in Arizona. They still haven't given that over to us so that we can look at the source code, which would reveal the algorithms and everything that's also in play.
Is the judge aware of that? Is that part of the suit?
That's part of Mark Fincham's case,
Okay.
and we touch on it very briefly in Carrie's case.
Why are you so confident you're going to win?
Well, the thing is that we've only looked at 290,000 envelopes. Out of that, we're running at about a 17% failure rate.
Okay.
Okay. 0.3% is what is supposed to be acceptable as far as acceptance of a signature itself. And the thing is that part of the dismissal, they have accused Shelby Bush and Steve Robinson, who are We the People AZ Alliance. They were granted this access to the same thing that Katie Hobbs has access to verify the signatures. No one knew that. So I kept telling you that I was a part of a group, that we were doing some things and I had to allude to it and I couldn't say anything.
Right.
Well, guess what? Now it's been revealed in the lawsuit that we have access to a copy of the database that has the signatures. We're able to take that, look at the references, just like any other ones. all of those, we had over 350 people that have gone through Katie Hobbs's signature verification course in order to verify these signatures. And when we applied the law to these signatures and stuff, so some things that I can give you examples of so that you know that I'm not just saying things nefariously here. We have no signature on the envelope, no signature, and yet it was passed through. So that means that vote counted. Our ARS 16 dash, and then we have a whole series of statutes that go there. But one of our statutes states very clearly that you have to have a signature on the envelope in order to open that envelope. We actually have inside the box signature on the other side. So they wanted to hide their signature. The problem is, again, one of the statutes that states you have to verify the signature first. And because of that, and they say that the signature's on the other side, you're not allowed to open that up and to take a look at what is going on inside that envelope. So they've broken the law when they opened up the envelope to take a look at the signature that was on the inside. So you can't count that ballot, yet it was counted. We have things where it is scribbled. And then we look at the references, and the references have a wet signature that looks very nice. We have envelopes where it's a guy's name, but it's obviously a woman who signed it, that signature. And then when you look at the reference of the signature there, they look nothing alike. And so we have, so much evidence that goes on. That's all that is taking place. And we have over 6,000 of those examples.
Okay, I'd like to get the audience here. I've got a comment from David Ross. 18 U.S. subsection 241, 242, and 1512 all in play. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, they're in play. However, they're not in play in this lawsuit. And the reason why is that this is being run by the Secretary of or by the Senate of Arizona. They're the ones who are presiding. So it's Arizona statutes. What people also need to understand is that that's when all of those come into play, when all 50 states come together to certify. Right now, we have a state that is in disarray right now. And so it's our statutes that are actually in play right now, because we haven't, while they are trying to certify it and they've actually certified it, we still have an objection that's taking place in the court systems that can overturn those certifications. So we're still stuck at the state level and their statutes.
Are you the only state in this race that's being challenged like this?
Like this, yes, we're the only ones.
Are there any others that are wanting to come in and join?
Once they see us prevail, then you're going to see several other states take suit along with this. Now, the thing is, we have a 1-seat majority in the Senate, 1-seat majority in the House here in Arizona. And the thing is that what we're asking the judge for relief for is the fact that Katie Hobbs, Steve Richer, and Bill Gates all were involved in the election process, and all have been non-bipartisan. They have literally been going against all of our statutes, and that's what we're proving.
Okay, so you think you got a good shot at it. Bill,
yes.
What do you got for him?
Yeah, I think Jeff's analysis is right about. I think the Supreme Court's inclination is that Arizona's going to sort it out themselves. And there are federal criminal statutes that somebody could argue and play, but that doesn't seem like the solution here. I mean, Arizonans have to be the solution to the problem of sorting out their state, right? The political processes you have and the people you have in your state. And, it's going to be difficult. I would like to see it happen because all day long in Missouri on Election Day, everywhere I went, I'd walk up to people at precincts all around the state. They go, "Do you see what's happening in Arizona? Can you believe what's happening in Arizona?" We went to a watch party on Tuesday night. Can you believe Arizona? And nobody believed that the Arizona election was on the up and up on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Because there was just so many discrepancies throughout the whole day.
And what do you say to people who say, don't worry about this 2020 election or this midterm election? Nobody wants to hear about it anymore. What do you say about that?
Well, the thing is that what we're showing is a pattern of behavior. The thing is that in 2020, when we uncover things that are nefarious, what's happening is that when I hand that over to the other team that is working the primary and the midterm. See, the thing is that I have a wall that is between me and the primary and the midterm because I'm on the ballot. I can't touch or be a part of any of the ballots moving forward once they go into the primary and to the midterm. And so the thing is that in researching 2020, it's amazing. The same person that voted in 2020 that did it illegally voted in the primary of 2022 and then it voted again in the midterm. So there's a pattern of behavior that is being taken place. And that's
is there just one or is there thousands of that?
Oh, no, there's thousands, Dave.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's interesting. So you think you have the evidence, and you certainly can't comment on the judge right now, but I wish
what we can do is and this is what I'm telling everybody.
Yeah.
We can pray for the judge. We can pray for wisdom. We can pray for clarity. We can pray that his eyes and his ears and his heart are open to receive this so that wherever it's just like when I started the audit, if it would have proven that Biden had won, I would be on this show adamantly saying Biden won. We need to accept this. It's going on, but I can't. What I've seen is the evidence just to the contrary, where there were as many, and what we're looking at with all these algorithms that were in play in 2020, we're looking at 115 million votes for President Trump and only 33 million for Biden. It would have
Wait a minute, say that again. So that's what you believe throughout the country, that it was 115 million for Trump. And how much? 33 million?
About 33 million for
Biden. I would think it was about 100 million. I mean, just from what I'm seeing. But you have done work on this, and you can prove that via the work on the 2020 election, right?
Correct. And these are all of the algorithms that were in play. And the thing is that these glitches that they so-called keep saying, they're not glitches. They're software programs that are actually in play, and a glitch is nothing more than either human error or human intent. Yeah. Either or, what we need to do is we need to find out. But the problem is that no one in the country, no judge wants to hear these cases because all of a sudden it could throw the country in a turmoil. Well, I tell you what, our country's already in turmoil.
Exactly.
We have a lot of people that are so upset, and everybody, 72%, we're talking Democrats, Republicans, Independents, 72% of the Arizonans do not believe we had fair elections right now.
That's huge. That's huge. There's got to be a lot of Democrats in that too, right?
Well, and here's some other things that we're looking into. We've had a lot of Democrats that went to multiple locations and tried to vote.
And what happened?
What does that tell you?
Oh, you mean they tried to vote?
Were they
turned down? Multiple precincts?
They were turned away. The machines didn't work. They were told to put it in door 3.
Yeah.
They said they refused to, so they spoiled their ballots and they left and went to another location and tried to vote.
And so they were treated like Republicans?
They were, and because of that, they knew that our lowest percentage of Republicans on election day here in Arizona was 52%. 52%, and they did it hour by hour there. So the way they had it broken down, 17% was the highest for the average of Democrat voters, but 52 was the lowest for Republicans, and then in between those were independents and stuff. And so the thing is that I had last Sunday, I had a friend of mine who, I've been accused of trying to be Santa Claus. I'm not. But he is Santa Claus. We got Santa Claus to come in, and we did 6 hours of pictures for free for the people here in South Mountain.
Yeah.
And we had over 3,000 people show up. 3,000 people. I had all day long, Mr. Jeff, I voted for you. My family voted for you. My friends voted for you. Why aren't you our congressman?
There you go.
Nobody voted for Ruben Gallego, and that's the problem that we have. Everybody's sitting here going, we don't know who voted for this guy, but he got in.
And Ruben and Katie Hobbs, they didn't campaign.
No, they didn't.
Katie Hobbs refused to debate.
Well, if you know the fix is in, then your pattern of behavior is different. So
who else
if
did
I know
that?
I'm going to
Wait a
win,
minute. Wasn't that Joe Biden that sat in the basement?
Yeah.
You know? And when he did go out to draw a crowd, he couldn't draw maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And those he probably had to hire.
Well, what's really funny is go back and pull Joe Biden and President Trump's pictures here in Phoenix. We had at Memorial Stadium. 3 weeks before Trump was supposed to be here, Biden shows up. He has in the same building a rally, and Biden has about 2,000 people show up.
Yeah.
When Trump showed up, he had 25,000 inside the arena itself, which was at capacity. He had another 20,000 in the parking lot that had screens up that were showing that. And what a lot of people don't know, there was a third parking lot that had almost 10,000 there. So if you go 25, 20, and 10, you can do the math real quick. I think that's just a little bit more than 2,000.
A little bit, yeah. But not in Arizona. No. Not in Arizona.
Yeah.
You're losing if you're doing that. I mean, this got to stop. And I'm so proud that I met you and I know you, and I believe you. I believe you're honest. You're a God-loving man. And Carrie, I've heard her speak, and she's the same way. She's a God-loving woman. And I'm glad you're taking up the fight. You are doing such a service for United States of America and probably the world. You know, the world deserves an America that has a good leader on top, one that was actually voted for. You know, and so I'm very proud to know you, and I'm very proud that you're on the show. I'm proud that Bill Hardwick is on the show. And I better include my wife, or I'm a dead man, and J.P. Maxwell too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, but all the best to you. I got to get going. I know you do too. So other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you? Probably in court. That's a little silly.
Yeah, in court, behind the scenes at our back cave. We've got that. But you can go to JeffZinkForCongress.com. I still have not conceded. I'm in the fight. When this re-elections takes place, I'm going to need funds in order to get the word out and to try to help. And there's a lot of things that we're trying to do. So, the donations are still needed at this time.
Okay. So I have to test your solitude here, your ability to think on your feet. So I'm going to ask you this question: do you fry or poach rooster eggs?
Neither.
Why is that?
Because you don't have roosters laying eggs.
Okay, you pass.
I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
He's not a biologist. He doesn't know what a rooster is. He knows what a woman is, but he doesn't know what a rooster is. Oh, my goodness. That's weird. That's kind of weird. I don't know. All right, we got 43 seconds to go. I want to thank my audience and Mr. Zink. All my other guests were great, Mr. Hardwick. And I think we've covered a lot of – we made some splash here. Maybe a couple of big scopes on the show. And I'm real happy. I wish you the best of luck. Jeff Zink, give me the time again because I can't see what the countdown is. Thank you. So, Mr. Producer. All right, thanks to Rick Henderson out there. Appreciate you. And listen, you guys have a great